is taking over Central Virginia. The Eastern League All-Star Game, presented by Genworth.
Give me a game underneath the lights. Give me the roar of the fans. Give me the sound of the big bat swinging. Give me a ring on my hand. Give me a game underneath the lights. Give me the roar of the fans. Give me the sound of the big bat swinging. This is the best in the land.
The Eastern League All-Star Broadcast, sponsored by the Virginia Lottery.
Baseball's regular season does not allow many breaks for the boys of summer. Some of the game's future stars have happily given up 3 days off to show their stuff here tonight as we bring you the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game. Good evening, everyone, inside the Diamond on Arthur Ashe Boulevard in Richmond, Virginia. I'm Lane Casanante, sports director here at CBS 6. Very happy tonight to be joined by the voice of the Virginia Tech Hokies and the former voice of our Flying Squirrels here in Richmond, John Laser. John, welcome back to the Diamond.
Oh, it's an absolute privilege to be here, Lane, and be with you tonight. This has been an awesome week and a place that means a lot to so many baseball fans like myself. Should be an awesome time.
And there are a lot of prospects in this game, a lot of names you could be seeing in the Big League All-Star Game in just a few short years. Want to bring in the rest of our broadcast team tonight that will be helping us over the course of the evening, and we start in the West Division dugout on the first baseline with our Sean Robertson.
Lane, I had a chance to talk with Willie Harris during batting practice today, and he mentioned to me the message will be simple. Have the guys have fun and also enjoy the moment. But once that first pitch is thrown, it's time to win the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game. The lineup will look similar to what a Squirrels lineup would be if they were playing here tonight at the Diamond. So look for some similarities in that as well. That's the story here from the West dugout. For a report on the East, we send it over to Jake Burns.
Sean, there are a bunch of hot bats in this dugout right here in the East dugout. The home run leader for the Eastern League, Portland's Bobby Dahlback, will be batting third tonight. There's a bunch of people here on this roster that are nipping at his heels. Trenton's Chris Gattens is way up there in a bunch of categories. Reading's Derek Hall is the RBI leader. The point being, East manager Mike Mordecai says that if those guys get pitches to hit tonight, that they could put on a show for the fans here at the Diamond. On the mound tonight, Adonis Medina of the Fighting Phils. He'll be starting for the East squad. He's the #2 prospect for the Phillies organization. In fact, there's 7 players on this East roster who are considered top prospects for their organization. We'll see what they have in store for us throughout the evening. Now we're going to send it over to Kristen Lewers, who's in the party deck here at the Diamond.
Hey guys, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Really, it's a dream come true. I love being out here. It's so much excitement. We just had skydivers land on the Diamond. Like, it was absolutely incredible. We are here live in the party zone having so much fun. There are people behind me. There are people in front of me. If you can see everyone celebrating, getting ready for the game. We have some jerseys out there. I believe that's the thrill Will Clark, and you know that he's here. Very exciting. He was here last night for the home run derby, and now again today supporting both teams. So it's so much fun. We're having a great time. Coming up in the party zone, we will be talking with Parney, of course, the mastermind behind everything. We'll also be talking with Dennis Bickmeyer, track president at Richmond Raceway, and the scholarship fund recipient, the legacy fund recipient. Guys?
All right, Kristen, thanks very much. We'll be talking more about all of that coming up throughout the course of the next couple of hours. As the West Division All-Stars are taking the field, let's show you the lineup for the East Division, which will be the visiting team here tonight. And John, Jake mentioned some of the bats that are in this lineup, especially that murderer's row that's in the middle with Bobby Dahlback, Derek Hall, and Chris Gittens going 3, 4, and 5 for the East tonight.
If you're definitely looking at stacking up, the popability is a word that I like to use in lineups. I think the Eastern Division has the advantage tonight because of those 3 guys that you see, 3 through 5. Bobby Dahlback put on a display last night in the home run derby, only to be usurped and one-upped by Derek Hall a couple batters later. But it was Chris Gittens right there in the 5 spot. Yeah. Hit one off the top of the scoreboard here at the Diamond. In my 6 years here, I never saw that happen, BP or not. So those guys supply the lumber in the middle, and the rest of this lineup should set the table admirably for them.
And they will be facing from the Richmond Flying Squirrels. The starting pitcher for the West Division is Kaleb Barger. He has a 2-2 record this year with a 2.98 ERA after having just been called up to AA back in May, so he has made the most of his short time here in the Eastern League thus far.
Yeah, and he was an arm that this staff desperately needed. It's no secret that the Flying Squirrels scuffled a bit in the standings in the first half, which is why, again, a point we'll make tonight. I love the second half and the fact that they've broken it for the first time into the halves, because a guy like Barger on his way to the big leagues potentially can help Richmond get back into the mix in the second half.
And leading off for the East will be their catcher from the Portland Sea Dogs. Stepping into the batter's box first is John Nunez. He's hitting .307 this year, 4 homers, 15 runs batted in, a 5th-round draft pick originally, and was picked up by the Sea Dogs as a free agent in 2012 out of Villa Gonzales in the Dominican Republic. And we are about to get the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game underway. First pitch from Barger, swung on a foul tip, and it's 0-1.
And the first thing you notice about Nunez is the fact that he's a catcher, but he's not built like a catcher. He's more of a shortstop, middle infielder type prototype. Despite that, he is known for his defensive wares. He's got a huge arm lane, but this year he's getting it done with the bat, and I think that's what the organization had been wanting to see.
Barger gets him to 0-2 and fouls off the third pitch, and the count will remain 0-2. We probably won't be seeing the pitchers more than an inning in this game. There's a lot of them on each roster, and each manager wants to get as many guys in this game as possible.
Of course, a few years ago, a name that Squirrels fans here in Richmond know well, Dan Slania, had what I call the ultimate all-star outing. One pitch. Came in, one pitch, got a pop-up and an out, and he was done. Into the dugout to call his parents. No, he did not. That would be,
if he got the win, that's almost better than an ultimate inning, or immaculate inning, excuse me, the 9 pitches and 3 outs.
If you can come in and get a pickoff and get the win, that's probably the ultimate outing.
Not even a pitch, that's right. And the 1-2. There's a liner into left field. Jacob Heyward on to make the catch, and there is one away.
It's a good piece of hitting by Nunez. You see why he's batting over 300 on the year. It wasn't a bad pitch from Barger. It's not the perfect spot he's looking for with that breaking ball, but you did see Nunez had to lean down and go get it. Wasn't able to get much on it, and Hayward, one of the best in the business defensively, is going to track that down.
Hitting second for the East from the Trenton Thunder, right fielder Ben Ruda, hitting .281 this year, 5 homers, 39 RBIs. As he lines one into center field, Jose Azocar will have to play it on a hop. And the East has their first base hit of the night. Now, watch for Ruda. He has 18 stolen bases this year, 3rd in the Eastern League. How much base running and how much stealing go on in this game like this? How much are they going to put themselves out there?
Well, normally I'd say not much, but knowing Willie Harris as I do, and getting to meet Mike Mordecai last night and seeing how competitive he was and winning the celebrity portion, I think if it gets later into this game, you might see some of those types of things that you see in regular season games in the effort to win. But, of course, neither of these managers wants to put any of these players in a more precarious situation health-wise than they need to be.
This is one of the most feared hitters in the lineup, third baseman from Portland, Bobby Dahlbeck, as he swings and misses through a Kaleb Mariner fastball. The count is 1-1. Dahlbeck hitting .229 this year, 19 homers. He leads the Eastern League in that category, 48 RBIs. He's 3rd in that category, and he's walked 56 times, which also leads the league. And that pitch is high, and it's 2-1.
Well, this is what the Giants like about Barger, is that he doesn't light up the radar gun with his fastball. It's not a slouch fastball by any means in the low 90s, but even against a threat like he faces in Dahlbeck, he's willing to work off his fastball, and that's what you have to do to pitch at this level and above.
There's a foul back, and the count evens at 2-2 on Dahlbeck, a 4th-round selection in 2016 out of the University of Arizona. He was the Eastern League Player of the Week, May 6th through the 12th this year, and also the Carolina League MVP last year in Single A. The 2-2. Just outside, and the count is full. Full count with a runner on first to Bobby Dahlbeck. And he swings and fouls one back up against the fence, and we'll reset and do it all over again.
That 3-2 swing tells you all you need to know about Bobby Dahlbeck. He's looking to be the MVP tonight. He's looking to get the Eastern Division on the board here with one swing, and he could do it. You mentioned he was the MVP of the Carolina League last year. Hit 26 home runs in Salem. That'll win you MVP honors. He added 6 in Portland for good measure and hit 32 for the year.
26 homers in just 100 games, too.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a full season. And he draws a walk, which he's also very good at. So, Barger in a bit of trouble here in the top of the first against this vaunted East lineup, and that will bring up Derek Hall, tonight's designated hitter for the East from the Reading Phillies. 240 this year, 14 homers, third in the league, 55 RBIs. That leads the Eastern League this year, and he is the proud owner of a huge wooden bat for winning last night's home run derby here at the Diamond. And he fouls off a pitch, and it's 0-1.
That was an amazing moment last night in that home run derby. I thought that Dahlbeck had put the score way too high for anybody to catch, but I hadn't seen Derek Hall hit yet. And they had the gold ball at the end of the rounds that was worth double points. And essentially, Hall got into a situation where it would be a walk-off, and he hit a bomb to right center field, the likes of which we haven't seen since Brandon Belt played here about 8 years ago.
This is not the easiest ballpark to get one out because the summer air in Richmond, very humid down here in Virginia. A lot of times the wind is blowing in. Tonight it is blowing from right field over to left field. There's not really much of a breeze, and the humidity has been down a little bit here this week, thankfully, for everybody involved with tonight's game. So they could get a few out if they get a hold of it. The 0-2 is grounded to third. There's Ian Sagdahl. One play over to first, and the scoop at first by Zack Houchins, and there are two away.
This play by Sagdahl there didn't rush, didn't let the runners and the traffic behind him bother him. But going back to what you were just referencing about the flight pattern of the baseball here in Richmond, Lane, those were all very generous and kind ways to say this is an absolute graveyard at the Diamond. Not entirely sure why, but particularly to the alleys as we look at this again. And you see an excellent location from Barger. He bends that off the plate and induces soft contact off the end of the bat. And there's that patience that I was mentioning from Sagdahl.
Chris Gittins now stands in for the East. Trenton Thunder first baseman is hitting .289 this year. 14 homers, 51 RBIs. He also leads the Eastern League with a .411 on-base percentage. And he will get an 0-1 from Kaleb Barger. And he fouls it back, and it's 0-2.
Selectively powerful is an exceptional combination if you're a scout or you're someone in a major league organization. And that's why Gittins is as highly regarded as he is, because he's aggressive, but he's disciplined in that aggression. And that's a rarity among young players.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss. Barger got him on a 94-mile-an-hour inside fastball. No runs, a hit, no errors. 2 men are left. We've played a half inning. No score, though, between the East and the West here at the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Welcome back. Bottom of the first here at the Diamond in Richmond, Virginia, the Eastern League All-Star Game. Let's take a quick look at the lineup for the West Division. Mason McCoy will lead off. You see a lot of the Flying Squirrels here, including Jacob Heyward, younger brother of Jason Heyward, 10-year MLB veteran with the Cubs and the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, and I know it's been 10 years because I actually had Jason Heyward with me down with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. That was my last All-Star experience, the California-Carolina League. But you look at that Western Division lineup that we were there for a moment against Medina, at least here in the first. It's not a team that has as much pop, again, as the Eastern Division, so they're going to try to piece some rallies together against numerous arms tonight.
There's a 1-0 pitch hit into center field by Mason McCoy, and that is over the head of Braxton Lee. McCoy on his way to second, thought about going to third, but pulls back in, and he has a leadoff double for the West. McCoy leading the Eastern League in batting with at 319 rather, and you can see why with that rope into center field.
And that's something we'll see a lot of, and that's early count swings in an all-star scenario as we take another look at it here. Medina just trying to get comfortable on the diamond mound. That's a middle fastball. And McCoy leading, as you mentioned, the league in hitting. He's not going to miss that pitch very often. So you love that for McCoy, and he's a guy that you love to root for out of Iowa. That's enough for me generally. But also his path to get to this all-star status after being nary recruited out of high school and basically having to grind his way even at the amateur level.
Batting second for the West tonight from the Akron Rubber Ducks, Connor Maribelle, hitting .260 this year as he takes a pitch low and away, and the count even at 1-1. .260 for Maribelle, 7 homers, 32 runs batted in. This is his third different All-Star selection in the minors. And we're going to mention that we haven't had a chance to talk about Adonis Medina on the mound getting the start for the East. We will in a moment. There's a grounder back up the middle. That's Alan Trejo from Hartford, who gets it, and a nice scoop at first base by Gittins, and there is one away.
Yeah, excellent backhand pick there. The range from Trejo you expect because he's defensively outstanding. That pick from Gittins on the back, I was discussing all his attributes as a hitter. And you look at the defensive attributes as well. He's a big guy, but this glove work over here at first base allows him to save runs, and Adonis Medina needed that support here in the first.
Hitting third, second baseman from the Richmond Flying Squirrels, Jalen Miller. 218 this year, 9 homers, 33 runs batted in. And there's a grounder to short. Run coming home. Trejo has one play at first, and he gets his man, but the run scores, and the West has broken through, and they lead 1-0.
Smart by a smart player in Jalen Miller, and that's with the infield back and a runner at third, less than 2 outs. They're just trying to make contact, put it on the ground because the defense conceding you the run. Got to talk with Jalen Miller as his teammates are now, greeting him back in the dugout last night. Just a fun guy to be around and get to know, and certainly Squirrels fans here in Richmond already knew that. He
is much thought of inside the San Francisco Giants organization, their number 29 overall prospect. Batting cleanup for the West is Ian Sagdahl, the third baseman from the Hartford Yard Goats. Hitting .276 this year, 7 homers, 46 RBI. That is good for 4th in the Eastern League through the first half of the year. The 0-1 from Medina is inside, and they're going to say he went around on that pitch, and it's 0-2.
Sagdahl completely confounded there. You see that plus slider that Medina boasts. He's always had an excellent fastball, but the reason that he's risen up the prospect ladder like he has is he's turned that slider and also the changeup into secondary weapons as he tried the slider again, and that time Sagdahl expecting it to stick around. That's what you can do. If you have that solid fastball that you can pitch off of, and you have not one but 2 complementary weapons, not only will you get to the big leagues, you'll get there as a starter.
The 1-2 is in the dirt from Medina, who was 5-0 with a 1.24 ERA throughout the months of May and June this year. He's 5-3 overall, 3.90 ERA, the number 2 prospect in the entire Phillies organization. They think they've got themselves a good one with him, just 22 years old. The 2-2 pitch is inside with that slider again, and it's full 3-2.
Yeah, what's interesting about Medina, he's had success really at every level as he's continued to get better. His strikeout rate is a little bit down this year, and I think that's somewhat by design without having seen him a ton. The Phillies getting him to pitch and be more comfortable adapting to contact, which he'll get as he rises through the system. That is not always a recipe for success as he loses Sagdahl, because he pitches at the most hitter-friendly ballpark, or one of the 2 most hitter-friendly ballparks in the Eastern League, up at First Energy Stadium in Reading. You don't keep it on the ground down there, Lane, your ERA is going to skyrocket.
Yes, it is. Ball does travel very well in Reading. That brings up Zack Houchins, first baseman for the West from the Richmond Flying Squirrels. .262 this year, 6 homers, 22 RBIs, even though he was just signed by the Giants as a free agent earlier this year. And the pitch from Medina is outside, 1-0. This is a really, really good reclamation story because the Anaheim Angels had him. He moved up and down between AA and AAA. They released him 2 weeks after the birth of his son. Didn't know what he was going to do. The Giants give him a call. He comes here to Richmond with the Flying Squirrels, and he's now an All-Star just weeks later.
Yeah, and he said, his wife gave birth to their son, Crew, and that was the highlight at the time of his life, and obviously a joyous occasion for his family, and then gets released from the only organization he had known right out of Mobile, where he was in AA, and he said it was a roller coaster of emotions, but he's done a phenomenal job in the middle of the road here, the middle of this season, adjusting the mindset, and that's just a professional approach. He's a guy with ability. It was almost somewhat of a surprise that the Angels gave up on him as quickly as they did.
A numbers thing, really, with the Angels. They just didn't have room for him. They didn't want to let him go, but one team's loss is another team's gain as he swung at one of Medina's sliders, and it's now 1-2 with 2 outs and a runner on first. And the pitch. Fly ball off the third base side. Bobby Dahl back, gives it a look, and he makes the catch just over the dugout. But the West gets a run on a hit, no errors, and a man left. and we have played one full inning here. The West leads 1-0 at the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Second inning, the Eastern League All-Star Game. The West leads 1-0 at this point. New pitcher for the West from the Bowie Bay Sox is Alex Wells.
The Aussie.
Is he from New South Wales, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
And his first pitch is outside, 1-0, and he is facing Forrest Wall. Left fielder for the West, for the East rather tonight, excuse me. Wall hitting .265, 5 homers, 28 RBIs. And he pours in another strike, and it's 0-2.
This was fun about these all-star game type scenarios you saw at the major league level last night as well. You'll cycle pitchers pretty much every inning. So right now, already in the dugout, feeling good about his all-star appearance. Barger comes in, throws a scoreless inning in front of the home crowd, and now he could just take it in and have some fun with his teammates here on this Western Division team. But Wells is a guy that was kind of born to come over to the States and pitch. That was his dream in Australia. He's got a twin brother that beat him to it.
Ground ball back up the middle, and that is Mason McCoy, who throws Wall out at first, and there's one away.
That's not something you always see in Australia. Obviously, it's not the baseball presence, although it's growing with things such as the Australian Baseball League in the offseason here for United States baseball. But that's definitely the track that they wanted. He and his twin brother Lachlan, who's had a little bit of an injury trouble throughout his professional journey thus far. But Alex, meanwhile, has been opening some eyes in the Baltimore organization, which has been a little bit ridiculed for not being active on the international market like they were with Alex.
This is our first trivia question of the evening, presented by the Virginia Lottery, who is the only future Hall of Famer to participate in the 1992 AAA All-Star Game that was played here at the Diamond. And I'll give you another hint, he did not start that game.
Yeah, and I know the answer. I won't ruin it, though.
The 0-2 to Alex Trejo, and that's strike 3. A little high and inside. Trejo didn't like it, but he is down on strikes, and there are 2 away. Trejo is hitting .255, 11 homers, 37 RBIs. It's shortstop for the Harrisburg Senators, and that will bring up Braxton Lee.
Yeah, regardless, regular season or all-star type setting, the home plate umpire never makes friends very quickly. Not to say that call was incorrect.
Braxton Lee hitting .274 this year, 2 homers, 26 RBIs. One of the few guys in this game tonight with major league experience, 8 games with the Florida Marlins. And the 1-0 is outside, and it's 2-0.
Yeah, I got to chat with him quite a bit last night, right after the home run derby, and he's a heck of a young guy because he's had his own journey through baseball, but it's not because he was discarded by an organization or wasn't wanted. It's because he was coveted. He was traded by the Rays to the Marlins. You mentioned he got up to the big leagues last year for a cup of coffee about a week or so. But then taken off the 40-man in a numbers crunch and picked up in the Rule 5 draft
by the
Mets. So he's only 25. He's been in 3 organizations. Sometimes you look at that and you're like, wow, you know, what's going on with this guy? And it's not because of a lack of ability. And he told me last night, he said, you know, I have to sometimes remind myself of that, that I do feel like I have an ability to not only get up to the big leagues again, but stay there.
And he works a 5-pitch walk, which will bring up Santiago Espinel, the second baseman from the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, and the number 9 hitter tonight for the East. He's hitting .268, 4 homers, 45 RBIs so far out of Miami-Dade College. First pitch is high, and it's 1-0.
Those JUCOs down in Florida, man, those are baseball factories. You see one of those, and it was a guy that was probably just about ready to become professional at 18, maybe needed a few months or a year.
The 1-0, there's a strike. As Wells floats an off-speed pitch in there, change up at 72 miles an hour. Espinel not exactly expecting that, and that evens the count at 1-1. And there's a slapped ball down the right field line that's going to go foul, and that makes it 1-2.
Now you can see why Wells is effective. He mixes his pitches, and he pitches efficiently. He's quick. He gets from the mound to the plate without a lot of fanfare, and that's what people love to see, again, in the organization, but also in his own dugout.
And the 1-2 is high and outside, 2-2. He could not get Espinel to offer at that.
And he gives you somewhat shades of Ricky Vaughn as well. He doesn't have the hairstyle of Ricky from Major League, but those glasses kind of take you back to that.
And he's going to try throw over to first, and they got him. So there's the pickoff move that ends the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left after the pickoff at the end of 1.5. The West won, the East nothing, as you watch the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Bottom of the second from the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game here in Richmond, Virginia. We have a new pitcher for the East squad. It is 24-year-old Harold Gonzalez with the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, 4-3 this year in 13 starts, a 3.68 ERA, 72 strikeouts in just over 78 innings pitched, and the Mets got to like to see numbers like that.
Yeah, without question, you want the strikeout numbers to match up with the innings, if not eclipse them. But the one that they really love is the fact that he's walked just 20. So he's a guy that's in command of his stuff, and a fairly obvious choice for manager Mordecai to put up a 0 here in the second.
And leading off the second inning for the West All-Stars will be Harrisburg's catcher Tres Barrera, 264 this year, 5 homers, 29 RBIs, a 6th-round draft pick in 2016 out of Texas.
You know, Lane, I've heard a lot of grumbling from the big guy, as I call him, Parney, over the years about the weather and the luck that he's had with it or hasn't had over the years, but I don't want to hear it after the last couple of nights. It is gorgeous here in Richmond tonight.
About as good a night as you can expect for mid-July in Richmond, Virginia. The 0-1 from Gonzalez is outside, and the count evens at 1-1 to Trey Barrera, born Felipe Barrera III, but goes by Trey, the number 19 overall prospect in the Washington Nationals organization, as he fouls off a 1-1 pitch, and he's behind now 1-2.
Yeah, Barrera's a guy they're excited about, and it's an interesting roster at the big league level right now for the Nationals. A couple of years ago, everybody was blocked, and you couldn't get there unless you were Anthony Rendon. And now it's not the case, and it's not just Bryce Harper leaving. There's other opportunities. It's not a rebuild, it's more of a reload, you get the sense, in our nation's capital. But it's got to be an optimistic feeling, more so than maybe it was a year or two ago in places like Harrisburg.
And a lot more optimistic in the last couple of weeks as well, as they have gotten a lot closer to the wild card.
Yeah, playing well at the big league level in a division that, you know, you thought the Phillies might go and get. You knew the Braves were going to be better this year, and the Nationals still right there in the mix of it. And you have to love that because, like I say, it's not a rebuild by any sense of the imagination. It's just kind of a shuffling of the deck.
Full count to Barrera, and he fouls one off on the third base side. And it remains 3-2.
And that creates opportunities for guys like Trey Barrera and makes seasons like this and all-star appearances like this such a big thing for them.
Harold Gonzalez was the Eastern League Pitcher of the Week earlier this year after combining with teammate Ryder Ryan on a no-hitter, the first one the Rumble Ponies have had since 2006. There have been at least 3 combined no-hitters in this league already this year, and one done by Connor Mize of the Erie Seawolves, where he just went the whole distance. The full count pitch, and it hits him on the elbow, and Barrera will go to first.
And not the way you want to start your inning in an all-star game is to put somebody aboard, particularly by hitting them. So Barrera aboard for the Western All-Stars. I'll tell you, Lane, I immediately saw that no-hitter that Binghamton threw, and I got sad. And you're going to say, why would you be sad about a no-hitter? Quite an accomplishment. And the reason was our longtime Eastern League colleague, Tim Hyman. He'd been with Binghamton, the Mets at the time, then the Rumble Ponies for about 7 years. He stepped aside, finally, left baseball, and that happened a week later. He never called a no-hitter. So, Timmy, if you're watching, we're feeling for you.
That brings up Jacob Heyward from the Richmond Flying Squirrels as he takes a pitch outside. 1-0. Heyward hitting .220 this year. 8 homers, 29 RBIs. As we mentioned, the younger brother of Jason Heyward, 10-year MLB veteran with the Braves and the Cubs. Going to get you the answer to our trivia question in just a moment. The 1-0 pitch to Heyward. And it's in there for a strike, 1-1. The only future Hall of Famer that played here in 1992, Mike Piazza, who did not start that game. He was brought in halfway through as one of the catchers and has made it all the way to the Hall of Fame.
Hit first catcher, Mike Piazza. I would like it noted that although I didn't orate my answer, I did have that correct.
He did. John did. He wrote it down on a piece of paper and sent it over here. So the 1-2 pitch coming to Jacob Heyward. And he skies one straight up in the air. That's going to be Braxton Lee from Binghamton coming in to make the catch, and there's one away. Let's send it down to our Sean Robertson, who has tonight's starter for the Western Division, Kaleb Mariner.
Thanks, Lane. I am with the West starting pitcher, Kaleb Mariner. You mentioned to me yesterday when you found out the emotions were high. Did the reality match the thought?
Yeah, there were definitely some jitters there, Sean. Just unbelievable atmosphere, sold out crowd. Just crazy, everything kind of went by super quick, but had a good time. It was real fun.
You were able to finish off the inning with that strikeout. I was predicting that you would get the strikeout, and you were able to come through.
Yeah, I was hoping I'd get more than one. I was trying to get a couple more, but they got some really good hitters on that team. Faced those big three hitters yesterday from the Derby all in a row with Dahlbeck, Gettins, and Hall, and so I was happy to get through that with no runs.
You started the season in single A with San Jose. How do you think the transition has gone now to here in double A?
It's been going really well. I've learned to make my pitches more and rely more on location rather than just my stuff, so it's really helped me evolve into a better pitcher.
Appreciate the time. Congratulations on a great start.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
West All-Star starter Kaleb Mariner talking here in the dugout. Guys, back to you.
All right, Sean, thanks very much. The batter now for the West is Rhett Wiseman, Harrisburg right fielder, hitting .211 this year. 11 homers, 35 RBIs. Out of Vanderbilt, College World Series champ in 2014, beating the Virginia Cavaliers from right up the road in Charlottesville.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
The 1-1 pitch. And Wiseman swings through an off-speed pitch in the dirt, and it's 1-2.
But I do want to talk about that conversation with Kaleb Mariner. There were a number of things I just loved about that. First and foremost, he's relatively new to Richmond, but he already knows Sean Robertson and is on a first-name basis. I love that because he's one of the people that you need to meet.
Everyone should.
Everyone should,
yes.
Yeah. He was one of the first person I met when I moved to Richmond. Two, I loved his candor about facing those three in the middle. He made that point like we did in the pregame. Like the pitchers are aware of that stretch with that murderer's row 3 through 5 in this Eastern Division roster, and he was candid about his emotions. This is a Double-A All-Star game, and it means a lot to him that he got the ball from his manager, Willie Harris.
I'm not sure how you couldn't be aware of those three hitters right in the middle of that lineup. The 2-2 pitch coming to Wiseman, and he lines one into center field. Lee battling the sun. That's going to be over his head and all the way off the center field wall. Rounding third and coming home is Barrera, and the throw is not in time. He will score, and the West has doubled their lead. It's now 2-0.
There were a number of things that were impressive on this swing from Rhett Wiseman, but the biggest one was I don't think he really was planted when he swung at it. It was not a bad pitch. It was a changeup that he kind of lunged for. To hit it off the center field wall with pop while you're not anchored like that is not something that a lot of even professional hitters can do.
It is a poke to get it to the center field wall. It's 407 here at the Diamond to straightaway center field with about a 12-foot wall out there as well, and that ball hit about halfway up. And there's a line shot by Jose Azocar into left center field. That is going to bring Wiseman around from second. The throw coming in, not in time. Azocar goes to second, and it's 3-0 West.
Well, this is what we were mentioning back at the top of the broadcast, and that was this Western Division lineup is going to score runs with a more prolonged attack, and that's exactly what you see. Go back to the beginning of the inning. I said the last thing you want to do if you're Harold Gonzalez is give a guy a base and give this offense a spark. As we look again at this RBI single, this is a pitch that hangs up. The pitch that Wiseman sent for a double was actually a pretty good pitch. This one was not, and Azocar was able to jump on it.
Azocar, by the way, we didn't get a chance to mention, was hitting .287 this year with 5 homers and 33 RBIs. And we'll go back to the top of the order, and that brings us back to Mason McCoy, the leading hitter in the Eastern League thus far with a .319 average. And he scored the first run of the game, 1-for-1. And there's a pitch in the dirt, and his count is now 2-0.
Yeah, I've got to get into this story of Mason McCoy because I love it so much. He had no offers as a senior in high school to play collegiate baseball. So he said, I love baseball, but that's okay. I'm going to go to nursing school. He winds up going to do that at Central Indiana, and the coach there says, hey, I heard about you in high school. We got a spot for you. He goes up, hits nearly 400 for a couple of seasons, and the Iowa Hawkeyes are looking over saying, we could use a guy like that. And suddenly he becomes a top 10 round pick and an all-star in the professional ranks. It just goes to show you sometimes there are scouts everywhere and there are metrics everywhere now, and they're phenomenal, and they are but they miss some guys sometimes, and Mason McCoy is one of those guys. And when I've heard him comment about it, as he sends that one away foul, is that, you know, he's aware of it. It doesn't use it as a chip on his shoulder like a lot of guys does, but he's aware of it. He's aware and grateful for the opportunities that he's had.
And it's other proof that if you can play, they will find you. Just like they do with the NFL. That was 2 outs now as he pops out to the first baseman, Gittins. And that will bring up Connor Maribelle, grounded out to short his first time up. DH tonight, Maribelle from the Akron Rubber Ducks. 2 out, Azakar on at second. Gonzalez trying to get out of the inning with no more damage. The pitch. Swing and a miss from Maribelle, and it's 0-1.
Maribelle's a guy with an opportunity, and that opportunity is right now in the Indians organization. You know, a team a couple of years off a World Series appearance and still very competitive in that American League Central, but they've lost some guys in the outfield. Lonnie Chisenhall amongst them. And it's not that there's a complete void, but like I was mentioning in the Washington system, there's opportunities in the outfield, and Maribelle is the guy that's he's right there. He just needs to, I think, put it together for 3 weeks or a month to make that last push, and he'd be there.
Swings through a slider for strike 2, and it's 0-2. And Gonzalez delivers one in the dirt, and it's 1-2.
See the mix from Gonzalez. He's not a guy that blows you away in terms of his pure stuff and his wattage, but he knows what he's doing out there. We've seen a lot of the changeup here in his probably one inning,
yeah.
But he commands it. You know, again, he got hurt off the center field wall on a pitch that wasn't that poor, but he's gone back to it.
The 1-2 pitch, grounded to short. Trejo has it, over to first, and that will finally end the inning. But the West get 2 runs on 2 hits. No errors, and they leave 1 on base. At the end of 2 full innings, the West has a 3-0 lead now over the East. You're watching the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. And welcome back to the top of the third. The West leads the East 3-0 at the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game. New pitcher for the West from the Altoona Curve is Pedro Vasquez.
Yeah, you look at Vasquez there, just 23 years old now, and he's a member of the Pirates organization for the 3rd year. Came back over when he was 20 years old. Seattle gave him up in the Archimedes Camarena deal. That's not a name you probably know, Lane, and most folks wouldn't either. But this was an arm that the Pirates coveted. They saw a lot of what you're now seeing at the AA level, and the fact that he's continuing to raise his level of velocity, and he already has pretty outstanding secondary stuff.
We want to welcome into the broadcast booth tonight with us for the top of the 3rd inning, the mayor of Richmond, LeVar Stoney. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
This is an amazing evening here. This is finally here. We've been talking about it for months, and now it's finally come to fruition.
Do you see this crowd out here? Just the community embracing not only the Flying Squirrels, but also the Eastern League as well. I am just I'm grateful for them choosing Richmond as the host of this great event, and we've turned out. It's a great demonstration of what the Squirrels can do.
I'll tell you what I like, Mr. Mayor, is the fact that you are a mayor that is showing your allegiances here tonight. You've got the Western Division jersey on there. You've got the Flying Squirrels cap. There's no doubt about which dugout your allegiance lies with tonight.
I wanted to make sure folks had no doubt that I'm supporting my team.
What can an event like this do for a community like Richmond whenever it comes, and what the Squirrels are able to do with an event like this, too? Because it's become more than a baseball game.
Yeah, you know, this whole week has been about an experience, not just about a game, right? This could have been easily, hey, there's a game on Wednesday, come out to the game, watch the game. But ever since July 7th, Sunday, even though we had some rain, we've recovered well. There's been a number of events around the region showcasing what Richmond has to offer, not just in the city, but also in Henrico and throughout the entire region. So this puts us on the map, continues to put us on the map.
I remember when you were elected, and Parney immediately said to me, we're going to like this guy. We're going to work with this guy. You guys have formed a pretty quick alliance here in Richmond, and it seems like it's been mutually beneficial.
He's not just a community partner, but he's also a friend. And we hang out because we both love Richmond, and nothing like having a real friendship, real relationship with the people you work with.
Batter for the East is John Nunez, who flew out to left field his first time up, and he has a full count with 1 out. As Santiago Espinel popped out to shortstop for the first out of the inning. And he fouls another one out. That'll keep it at 3-2. I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I know you probably get this question 500 times a week. But here in Richmond, this is one of the older ballparks in the league. How many times a week do you get that question
I
about
get
a
a
new
few times
ballpark?
a week. I might be working out on the treadmill or walking down the street. I get, hey, Mr. Mayor, what about the Coliseum? Hey, Mr. Mayor, what about the ballpark? Both are, I think, necessary in order for the city to continue to be competitive. And we had a good week right here. This just builds the momentum. I was down on the field yesterday for the Derby, and that experience right there just shows you that what we could do with a new facility. I mean, it's limitless.
Yeah, I used to say this all the time when I worked here, is that it's awesome here, and guys like Arnie and the staff and yourself and the community make this a special place. But it's almost that they don't know what they're missing type situation.
That's right. What I saw yesterday was folks came out. It wasn't a game yesterday. We're just having an event. And beyond the games that we could host here at a new facility, just think about the experience we can provide to so many people from all over when they visit the city of Richmond.
And this is an event that gets people inside the city limits as well. It's a central location. Those tax dollars, I know that's very big.
I'm sorry, I'm a mayor. I love that when folks go to our restaurants and go to our breweries, that's on my mind. So I want to come to the game, but I also want to spend a little money in the city as well.
This is the Diamond here in Richmond. If you're not familiar with Richmond, it's in a part of town called Scott's Addition, which has really enjoyed a resurgence over the last couple of years with a different crowd, a different age group, and the Squirrels have tried to fit their way into it as much as possible.
It is the #1 zip code in the Commonwealth of Virginia for millennials. And I want to continue to hold that title. Imagine what we can do. We can add to that by providing a new facility as well. And I'm glad we got the partners right now at the table with VCU, the Virginia Commonwealth University, the Flying Squirrels, and the city of Richmond.
Ben Ruda skies one to center field. Azarkar has it, and that will end the inning. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for being with us. Continued progress here in the city of Richmond, and we thank you for joining us.
Go Squirrels, go nuts.
Nothing across for the East in the top of the third. It's 3-0 West. You're watching the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Bottom of the third of the Eastern League All-Star Game with the West holding a 3-0 lead. On the mound for the East, Tanner Houck of the Portland Sea Dogs, 8-6 this year in 15 starts. That's tied for third in the Eastern League in wins. 23-year-old from Collinsville, Illinois, will tackle Jalen Miller leading off for the West. And Miller swings through the first pitch, a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. And it's 0-1.
Yeah, Houck immediately displays why he's very, very close.
Miller slaps that one down the first base line, fouling out of play, and he's quickly behind 0-2.
To make his major league debut, the Red Sox actually moved him into the bullpen his last outing, not because they were upset with the way he's been pitching as a starter, but because the Red Sox need some relief help, and they think that he might be it. And this is actually a valuable experience for him coming into this game, a clean inning here in the third, but nonetheless off his starting rhythm and in a relief role. His first time doing it didn't go well for a variety of reasons, but he's a big-time arm, and he'll be in Boston soon.
Jalen Miller had an RBI ground out in his first at-bat to score the first run of the game, and he swings through a breaking pitch, and he is down on strikes. And there's some of that movement that you just mentioned from Houck. That'll bring up Ian Sagdahl. He walked his first time up and was stranded on base.
Yeah, you look at Miller just kind of flailing away saying, hey, what happened to that last guy? Because Houck's a long-limbed righty, first-round pick, and generally those guys fit a similar profile. You see the whip and the action on that slider. It's a big league fastball-slider combination, and as I was just mentioning, the Red Sox clearly feel that way already as well.
6'5", 210 pounds, and some of those guys, when they're tall and on the mound out there, they look like they never stop coming at you. And the 1-0 is outside, and it's 2-0 to Sagdahl.
Yeah, that's right. They release the ball closer to the plate, and every hundredth of a second that you lose as a hitter makes it that much more difficult.
The 2-0 pitch just misses the outside corner, and it is 3-0. Tell you what, the pitch selection by the West Division has been impressive so far tonight. They have found a way to get themselves on base. And he slaps one to left field. There's a base hit for Sagdahl. And once again, the West has the leadoff runner on here in the third inning.
And that was more impressive by Sagdahl than it was a pitch that was not impressive from Tanner Houck. You look at it, he's trying to come in. He's trying to saw the bat out of the hands. He doesn't quite get in far enough. Away with that at 96 a lot of times. That's a testament to Dahl that he's able to muscle it, particularly the other way.
And that brings up Zack Houchins, the first baseman for the West tonight from the Richmond Flying Squirrels. Houchins popped out to third his first time up, and he takes an inside fastball at 1-0.
By the way, Lane, I should have told you, when I'm usually going through something like muscling a pitch the other way, I generally speak with my hands. Sorry, I almost punched you in the jaw there.
You would be the first one. The 1-0 pitch to Houchins, on the air I might add, and he fouls that away off the first base side. The count is even at 1-1.
It's fun watching guys like Houck pitch. That's why these all-star experiences are fun, because we're going to get to see him briefly here, where he's going to let it go. You know, he's sitting 96 right now. Probably can bump it up 97, maybe even above that if he really, really wanted to. And you wouldn't see that, obviously, if he was in a starting role.
Good off-speed pitch there that Houchins swings through, and it's 1-2. Yeah, they know they're only going to get an inning, so there's no point holding anything back, because chances are a lot of them won't pitch again until this weekend anyway. The 1-2 from Houck. And he fouls it off. Houchins manages to stay alive.
Yeah, you'd love to see him bury that. And Houck knows the Red Sox brass are watching this right now. Maybe not this broadcast, maybe they are, I don't know, but they definitely have eyes on this in one way or another. And they want to see that fastball slider combination. And I think they'd like to see him bury one right here or drive that fastball inside.
The 1-2 is grounded to short. Trejo has it. Will not go to second. Only play is at first. And he gets Houchins for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, and they got the ladder. You see that confidence from Houck. And, you know, he just got beaten on a fastball. He was trying to drive into the left-handed hitter, and he's showing that he can do that to either side of the plate, because he was able to come in on Houchins. Didn't quite get the double play ground ball because it was too weak a contact.
And that'll bring up Trey Barrera, hit by a pitch, his first at bat, and came around to score on a Rhett Wiseman double. And he has a runner in scoring position, John, with 2 out.
Also an impressive arm sleeve tattoo there as well.
Houck's breaking pitch way inside, and it's 1-0 as Barrera has to dive out of the way of that. Not sure I don't know what the record is for being hit by a pitch in the Eastern League All-Star game, but Barrera might have had himself in the record book if he had hung in there a little bit. And he fouls off a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, and it's 1-1. Of course, it's easy for me to say standing in there when you're looking at 96 coming down at you.
Yeah, without question. And the brass from the big club are saying, no,
no, don't get out of the way of that. Dahl leads away from second, 2 out. Bottom of the third, the 1-1 count. And that gets the corner for 1-2. 96 on the black.
Yeah, I was going to say 96 painted to the outside. There's nothing Barrera can do but tip his cap on that pitch and hope that Houck can't repeat it either there or to the other side of the plate. But I look for this to be a slider. Wrong.
And he fouls that one off, and it's still 1-2.
Tried to replicate the pitch to the outer half, potentially setting up the slider. But you like the sequencing. You know, if I'm the Red Sox and I'm watching right now, I like what I'm seeing from Houck.
He's certainly come after every hitter that he's had so far. Runner at second, 1-2 pitch. And that's way outside. Now the slider, a pitch late, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, but see, the problem is, if we know that, Trace Barrera knows that. And that's probably the problem in the sequencing right there, is that you should have thrown the slider the pitch before because he's guessing. Is he going to go back out there? Is he going to make it look like he goes back out there? And then you telegraph it. You're not going to do it 3 times in a row.
And he doesn't have to throw a strike here either, the 2-2 pitch.
Yep.
And he throws another slider. Barrera gets him. And that will end the inning. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Houck. No runs, a hit, no errors, and a man left. We are through 3 innings, and the West have a 3-0 lead over the East. You're watching the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Top of the 4th inning here at the Eastern League All-Star Game in Richmond, with the West carrying a 3-0 lead over the East. The new pitcher for the West from the Bowie Bay Sox is Zach Lowther. 9-5 this year with a 2.64 ERA, a second-round pick out of Xavier in 2017. Went 3-1 in May with a 0.60 ERA if you need that. The number 8 overall prospect in the Orioles organization. And his first pitch is way inside to Bobby Dahlback, and it's 1-0. And Dahlback skies one into left field. Weissman giving it a look, and he's got it at the line, and there's one away. I'm going to bring you back inside the broadcast booth and welcome in the president and CEO of Genworth, one of the biggest sponsors here tonight, helping Tom McInerney. Thank you for being here with us tonight. It's a fantastic evening.
It's my pleasure, Line. Thanks so much for having me. John, you too.
Yeah, absolutely,
appreciate
Tom. Good to see you. And I know at some point Parney came to see you and said, hey, Tom, we want you on board with Genworth for All-Star Week. Did you imagine it was going to be this big, this much, this many nights?
You know, I think we're thrilled. We really talked a lot about, well, let's make it more than a game. And the Home Run Derby, let's make it a week. So we put it together, our team, his team, and others, other sponsors. So it worked out great. I know he's happy, and we're delighted as well.
Tom, you have a very, very close connection to the overall game of baseball, because I want you to tell everyone who your childhood friend was growing up in Rome, New York.
So 2 years younger than me is, I call him Robbie Manfred. Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball. I've known him for, I guess, 60 years almost. Great guy, and you know, he went to Harvard Law School and worked for Major League Baseball, worked his way up. Bud Sigley loved him, and he succeeded him. I talk to him every once in a while. He's doing great. He's in New York.
You always talk about baseball, though, right?
I kidded him because he was in high school and college. He was a tennis player, but he did tell me he played Farm League and Little League, so I guess I got to trust him on that.
Rome Free Academy?
Rome Free Academy.
Rome Free Academy. Very close to where I grew up, so I know all those high schools.
Grew up again, Lane. I'm a
Herkimer, New York.
New York. Yeah,
Herkimer, New York. We used to play Rome Catholic, the smaller high school in town.
But I was on the golf team, and we played Herkimer in golf.
Yes.
You had a good team.
We weren't, well, you didn't play against me. So that's
I'm a little
why.
older, probably.
Yeah, well, maybe. And Derek Hall strikes out, and there are two away. Wanted to get you to mention real quickly, while this is a great game and everything, you guys with Genworth have also been able to establish the Legacy Fund with the Flying Squirrels. Tell everybody a little bit about that.
So first, one of our goals when we started this with Barney and the Flying Squirrels, let's just not do a day or two event. Let's do a longer event, and let's bring the community involved. We all love Richmond. While we're in a number of countries, global company, we have 1,000 employees in Richmond. They love the Squirrels. They love the city. They like our involvement. So beyond our sponsorship, we wanted to do community engagement. And we brought, Feed More and United Way are two of our biggest charities that we work with. And working with the Squirrels and Barney and the Flying Squirrels charities, we decided to create this all-star fund and, create money. And ultimately, part of it is going to be used for scholarships. We awarded our first scholarship winner tonight, $5,000. It's annually renewable. She's a great person, 4.3 kind of GPAs that I've never heard of. Going to Winston-Salem State. She's very excited, great family. So, I think it's important for all of us be part of the community, enjoy the game and everything, but also give back where you can.
Chris Gittin draws a walk from Zach Lothar, and there's a runner on first with two away, and that is going to bring up Forrest Wall.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that reaction. That was one of the loudest ovations I think there was while you were awarding that scholarship before the game. It was pretty cool, and I imagine exactly what you were hoping would be the case on her face and all the fans that recognized how cool it was.
It's so great. We do a number of scholarships. This is one we're doing with the All-Star Legacy Fund, but we really like to reward high-achieving, mostly minority high school students that are great in academics, and they need a little bit of help financially to go to the colleges they want to go to. So we're delighted to do that. She was excited. She had her little cousin there, and then parents.
We're going to hear from her later on. Kristen is going to catch up with her later on to talk with her about what the scholarship means for her, what it's going to mean for her higher education, and hopefully this will be a program that'll take place for years to come, not just because it's here with the All-Star game this week.
Absolutely right. It's a long-term commitment.
We got a 1-2 pitch to Forrest Wall, and he's going to foul one off down the third base line, and we'll do it again at 1-2.
It's an exciting time to partner as a corporation with baseball. You're talking about Rob Manfred and clearly presiding over some pretty high times at the major league level, but that's also true in local ballparks like this one.
Yeah, look, I grew up playing a little bit when I was younger, and I was Rome near Syracuse. Syracuse Chiefs, and went to a lot of AAA games. They were the Yankees. Now it's changed over time, so it's great. And I think, you know, the value for the money and AAA, AA, single A, family fun, you can really afford it. It's a little bit tougher now in the big stadiums. So, and I think it's great for families. You know, one thing I'm very proud of the 3 daughters, and I taught my 3 daughters, like my dad taught me, how to score games, and they can still do it.
There you go.
20 years later.
It's like balancing your checkbook, though. You don't have to do it so much.
Yeah, thank God. Thank you for that. Tom McInerney, president of Genworth, thank you for being here with us.
Thanks so much.
Thanks to Genworth for helping making tonight possible.
our
One
pleasure.
runner left. We're through 3.5. The West leads 3-0 at the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Bottom of the 4th here in Richmond, the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game. The West leads the East 3-0. New pitcher for the East, 23-year-old Daniel Alvarez from the Trenton Thunder, 5-1 this year, a 2.92 ERA, 10 saves as well this year for the Thunder. And he will face, to lead off, Jacob Heyward, Flying Squirrels left fielder. And his first pitch catches the outside corner, and it's 0-1.
Thought Hayward was going to snag that western side of the home run derby last night, but a couple of Seawolves nipped him at the end.
Ground ball to third. Dahlbeck has it. Bobbles, throws to first, and Gittens can't dig it out. And it'll be interesting to see how they score that.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing, going back to my official scorer roots here at the Diamond. That's a tough play to make. It's obviously one that you want to make, and he would tell you he needs to make, but particularly once you set yourself and then have time to throw him out, I think he gets the error, not because he bobbled it going to his left, but because he still had time and didn't make a good throw.
It was interesting. He was really guarding the line on that ground ball as well. Had he been playing a normal third base spot, it might have been an easier play. And that's going to bring up Rhett Wiseman. RBI double his first time up. Right fielder from the Harrisburg Senators. And he takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Hayward leads away from first. The pitch from Alvarez. And it's fouled off, and it's 0-2.
Still thinking about that double that Wiseman swatted off the top of the center field wall back in the second. And just so impressed. You know, again, it was a changeup from Harold Gonzalez. That wasn't a bad pitch. He kind of had to go down and lunge and get, which means you're not on your legs, as
wasn't
they would
much
say.
of a swing, right?
Which means you're incredibly strong in the upper body to send it out to center field.
Wiseman swings through a fastball at 0-2, and there is one out. We just had Tom McInerney from Genworth on talking about the Legacy Fund. They awarded their first scholarship tonight. That recipient is with our Kristen Lewis over in the party deck. Kristen?
Hey guys, this is the best part of the game so far. So of course we're here at the All-Star Game. We're in the party zone, and look who I'm joined with. This is Zakaria Grandy, recipient of the Legacy Fund Scholarship. She is the winner. It is a huge deal. I mean, I can't even say it. I close my eyes every time. Huge deal. So we just have a couple questions for her. Once she actually found out, we heard that she was very emotional, which could you imagine winning a $5,000 renewable scholarship? Of course you'd be emotional. So walk us through what happened.
So I got the call. It was around 4 o'clock. They called me and they were like, "Can I talk to you?" And I'm like, "Sure." And they told me who they were, and they told me that I was the first recipient of a $5,000 renewable scholarship. And then I just cried. And I was talking to them, and they would tell me like all the things I had to do. I had to come here for the game and be recognized. And I was just crying because I was shocked really on. And then they said renewable, so I was really shocked.
I mean, this is a big deal, and you're accepting it so well, which is the best part. You're joined here with your family. You've already been out on the field, so they're just throwing you right in the mix, of course, as soon as possible. So real quick, you went to Richmond Community High School, honor roll for 4 years, co-captain of the cheerleading squad. I mean, you are booked up. This was a big deal, so throwing the scholarship in the mix, of course, really meant something. You volunteer with Feedmore, the Children's Museum, and Salvation Army. So are you enjoying the game, I have to ask?
I love it. I love it.
What have they made you do so far while you've been here?
I was on the field, and they talked to me, and they presented me with a gift for my dorm room.
And real quick, which college are you going to?
Winston-Salem State University.
Congratulations. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Kristen. There's one away, and 1-2 now to Azakar. Azakar had a single his first time up and was stranded on base.
And we're taking a look at why we got that medical interlude there. You saw the trainer for the east side, Caleb Daniel, trotting off the field. And Now you see Nunez shaking it off and continuing, but another one that gets past him.
And that's going to put runners on the corners. And that will bring up Paredes. Isaac Paredes from the Erie Seawolves, who has taken over at shortstop for Macon McCoy. Paredes just participated in the MLB Futures game Monday in Cleveland. Came here, was part of the home run derby last night, and he gets into one to left center field all the way to the wall, and it's run down. Great defensive play out in left field by Forrest Wall. That's going to allow Hayward to score from third, though, and it is 4-0.
It won't prevent the run, but it could prevent a massive inning out there, and a tremendous catch made by Wall. We were discussing earlier how the ball doesn't travel that well, particularly the alleys here at the Diamond, because Paredes sends this one on a pretty hard charge, and it took a perfect route from Wall to get there. And you see Paredes being congratulated there in the West dugout, but there's appreciation in the Eastern dugout as well for that effort in an all-star environment from Forrest Wall.
And that's going to bring up Connor Maribelle, who takes a strike, and it's 0-1. That is hit just about as far as you can hit in this park without it going out, and the wind is actually going from right to left, so he had a little help, just didn't quite get it all. Maribelle fouls one off, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, and Alvarez has got to be a little irked right now. You probably wouldn't tell you that, but he's an elite pitcher in terms of walks and hits allowed per inning, which means he doesn't have a lot of base runners. He had one there due to an error, then a couple that got through Nunez, one probably a wild pitch, one that Nunez probably should have had, and bang, it's a run, despite the fact that you've posted a couple of outs.
And Maribelle swings through a breaking pitch, and that is strike three. So the West adds another run to their lead. It is now 4-0. We have played four here at the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game, presented by Genworth. Top of the fifth at the Eastern League All-Star Game, and the new pitcher for the West from the Akron Rubber Ducks is Eli Morgan. 8th round pick out of Gonzaga. Leads all Cleveland minor league pitchers in strikeouts since he has joined the organization. They say he has an incredibly good changeup. Right now he is facing off against Alan Trejo, and he has him at 2-0. The 2-0 pitch. Grounder to third. Shortstop, that's Isaac Paredes, and he's not going to be able to make the plays. He slips on the outfield grass. That should be an infield single, and the East has a runner at first.
We saw one of the skydivers earlier, Lane, skid across the grass on his feet. It was one of the more impressive things I've seen in quite some time. Paredes was about to try to leap in the air and throw that. Would have been an incredible play, but couldn't keep his footing.
Joining us now in the broadcast position, there comes one of the skydivers from earlier today.
Oh, that wasn't the one that skidded across.
No, and it was not our guest tonight as well. He is the Eastern League president, Joe McCatherine. Thank you very much for being here with us tonight. You knew when you awarded the Eastern League All-Star Game to the Richmond Flying Squirrels you were going to get a spectacle. Have they delivered?
They've over-delivered. They went to the top of the hill and set the bar pretty high. It's been a special time down here in Richmond, so thanks for having us.
This All-Star week, or a couple of days as it generally is, but week here in Richmond is always a collection of so many people that have been a big part of this league for years, and you know, the new faces and all of that. You said something to me last night, Joe. You said, you know, the league is in a great and stable place right now because it's filled with well-run organizations in cities that support it.
And you know, that's exactly where we are. We've got great ownership groups, great management teams. John, you were in this league for so long, so you know what it comes together, and we all work together. But I really, to reach out to the communities, Richmond is just, for 10 years it's been a spectacular supporter, and it's gone and built in every other community. So we're really proud of that, and what we're proud of is it's organic and it's homegrown. It's not we have to move, we have to build a stadium, we have to do this. It's, we make it work because we're partners.
There's one out as Santiago Espinel stands in. He flew out to short his first time up. He has a runner at first with one out here in the 5th. Joe, when you made the decision to come to Richmond 10 years ago in 2010, could you have anticipated it going as well? This is one of the bigger markets that you're in for this league as well. A fantastic catch out in center field by Jose Azucar. And there are now 2 away.
That's an all-star play is what that is.
Was. We saw one in the previous half inning. Let's look at it again. Look at that. That's an outfield that he's not familiar with either. He plays up in Erie. There's not nearly as much real estate in formerly Jerry Park, now renamed, I believe, PNC Park. But regardless, that was a tremendous route, Joe. So we had to interrupt your thoughts.
Oh no, absolutely,
You're used to that.
That's the athleticism that showed there. That's why we're the big part of why we're here.
It looks like Mike Mordecai is going to have a pinch hitter up here for for John Nunez. I assume he's going to bring in his second catcher of the night.
You were asking about whether or not did we meet our expectations?
Yeah, when you came here 10 years ago.
Not in my wildest dreams. I mean, I have to tell you, with the team we put together with Chuck and Parney and Lou DeBella and whatnot, John knows what our expectations were, and we expected big things. I'm most proud of what's happened here in the community, and it's a partnership truly, because the community has supported the team far beyond anything we could have really expected, and we knew that we could build that relationship, and it truly for us this is the home run. This is our gold standard now.
It seems like it's a source of pride for the league because it's not just Richmond. Chuck, you mentioned, of course, is a Hall of Famer because of what he accomplished in Reading first, and now a lot of places in minor league baseball. Parney brings some of the things that worked in Altoona, People's Natural Gas Field, previously Blair County Ballpark. And then you have Bill Papierniak, who brought some things, but then Richmond kind of took those and made it its own just because of the culture that exists here.
And I think you find that happening a lot now because we have an awful lot of ideas to share, and that's one of the things the Eastern League does really well is share best ideas. But it has to be your market. You have to know your market. You have to know your people, and it can take you a year or two. So the first year or two you have that love fest, but then you really have to understand what you want, what the people expect, what they want, and what hits home. And if you can find somebody that's more about hitting somebody's heart than Todd Parnell, then you're a smarter man than I.
And I've been in Richmond here now 25 years, and I understand the traditions and how people, are very close to their customs and everything. And he has really managed to be one of the people that has come in as an outsider and really endeared himself and this entire organization into the fabric of this community.
We used to talk about it and say we'll come in and what we're going to do is we'll come in and prove ourselves. And there was a lot of doubt, and there was a lot of suspicion, and you could feel it. There was tension, and I said, you don't understand. This guy Parney, and they're looking at me like I've got 3 heads. And I said, look, it won't be long. And I looked at the mayor at one point, and I said, you might want to be fearful for your job, sir, because this guy will come in, and you know what? That kind of emotion, that kind of commitment, that kind of passion, that's what brings it back. It goes two-way street. So, you know what? They're great people.
We thank you for being here, Joe. Much continued success with the Eastern League. We're halfway through. The West leads 4-0. You're watching the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Bottom of the 5th here from the Diamond on Arthur Ashe Boulevard in Richmond. As there have been some changes for the East defense. Colton Welker is in at third for Bobby Dahlbeck. Hoy Park from the Trenton Thunder is now taking over at short. Patrick Mazengo was the pinch hitter that struck out to end the top of the 5th inning. And on the mound, Alex Guillen, 23-year-old with the Hartford Yard Goats. 2-2 this year, 1.24 ERA. 50 innings, all in relief this year. 65 strikeouts and only 18 walks.
Now, earlier, Tom from Genworth was talking about still having the ability to keep score by hand, which is what we're both doing. Any All-Star game will challenge your skills in that regard, particularly if they're rusty, like mine are at the moment, as we start to see some of the mid-game substitutions.
Ryland Bannon is taken over at second base for the West.
Speaking of.
And Bannon has an 0-1 count against Guillen in the 0-1 pitch. Grounded to third, and it's foul. And the 0-2 pitch to Bannon is in the dirt. It's 1-2.
Well, and Bannon, one of those stories where he was a highly regarded prospect in the Dodgers organization, and it gets a name that's lost because he came over to Baltimore in the Manny Machado deal last year. Dodgers, of course, chasing that elusive World Series title. They get Machado, they lose Bannon, they lose some other prospects as well. They get to the World Series, don't win the World Series, and then you're in the spot where you don't have your World Series, you don't have your prospects. Fortunately for the Dodgers, like you, Lane, they have a boatload of television money. So it doesn't hurt them as much as it does some of the smaller market organizations.
Pops one up, and it's just going to reach into the seats, and the count is 2-2. Bannon, as we said, took over at second base for Jalen Miller.
And one of the Squirrels calling it a night, we believe.
And the 2-2 to Bannon. And he skies one straight up in the air here in the infield. And who's going to take it? It's going to be the first baseman. That's still Chris Gittens out there from Trenton, and there's one away. Hey. Time now for the second trivia question tonight, sponsored by the Virginia Lottery. In which year did professional baseball begin in Richmond? And I can promise you it was long before I got here.
And even longer before I got here. I knew the first trivia question.
This one might be
guessing
a
little
tougher.
bit on this one. There's such a rich baseball history here in Richmond. I remember when I first got here, I was trying to learn all of that.
Jonah Arenado with a grounder to short. Hoy Park has that. He fires to his teammate Chris Gittens, and there's quickly two away.
I mean, so much just with the Richmond Braves, but then you get back to the Virginians, and you get to Parker Field, and all of those things. But something tells me the answer to our question predates all of that.
I'm pretty sure it does myself. All right, that's going to bring up first baseman Zack Houchins. Houchins is 0 for 2 tonight, popped to third and grounded to short. Guillen trying to make quick work of the West in this inning. There's a ground ball base hit into left field, and they won't go away just yet. Fifth hit of the night for the West, and Houchins is on. And that'll bring up Jason DeLay, the new catcher for the West.
I've lost control of my scorebook, Lane.
DeLay with the Altoona curve this year. Another one of those Vandy kids. In his first All-Star game appearance, signed in the 4th round in 2017 out of Vanderbilt. Built a baseball powerhouse down there, have the Commodores, with a runner on first. The pitch, he swings and misses, and it's 0-1.
Yeah, those Vandy boys, you know, Jason DeLay was elated as they claimed another World Series title. Of course, the Commodores took it in 2014, a team that featured former Flying Squirrel Tyler Beatty.
And that was a grounder over to West manager Willie Harris at third, and it's quickly 0-2 on DeLay.
DeLay's got a perfect name for those that complain at times about the speed of the game of baseball. There's a DeLay on the mound again.
Well, you can only do that so many times now with the mound visits.
I know.
You can. He's been capped at that. He takes low 1 and 2. Guillen trying to get out of it, and Strand, runner at first. There's a fly ball into left center field. Wall going over, and he's under it, makes the catch, and that is quick work of the West. No runs, a hit, no errors, and a man left. We are through 5 innings on the Boulevard. West 4, East nothing at the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Top of the 6th inning here at the Eastern League All-Star Game with the West with a 4-0 lead. The new pitcher for the West from the Erie Seawolves is Drew Carlton. 32nd round selection out of Florida State, 1 and 2 this year with a 1.58 ERA, a 2-time All-ACC academic performer with the Seminoles, and he combined with teammate Alex Faedo. Did I get that right this time?
Yes, you did.
Thank you. The no-hitter back in April, one of 3 combined no-hitters that we know of already this year in the Eastern League, and will pitch against Ben Ruda. That's not Ben Ruda, that's
Rennie Kumana.
Rennie Kumana, who grounds out to third, and there is one away.
Well, and you look at this Erie staff, Lane. you mentioned the no-hitter. They've got some talent. I mean, this is a guy in Carlton deserving to be an all-star, but replacing one of his highly touted teammates. They've got 3 former first-round picks in that rotation. This is a guy that moved to the bullpen back at Florida State and has dominated every level of minor league baseball since.
Joining us now in the broadcast booth from Richmond Region Tourism, Jack Berry. Thank you very much for being here with us. This just puts a giant smile on you, events like this that are bringing so many people here to Central Virginia.
It's been a wonderful week, and it's been wonderful to host this prestigious event, and we thank Parney and the Flying Squirrels for hosting this, and it's gone perfect. We've had a wonderful time. The players have had a great time. Their families have had a great time, because it's Richmond. It's a great place to be.
Jack, we were talking to Mayor Stoney about this earlier, as you see the ground out to second base there. And just a phenomenal time to sell Richmond, to talk about Richmond. It seems like every time I come back, every month or so, there's a new restaurant, there's a new brewery, there's something new to do on the nightlife scene, there's more housing. It just seems like everything is booming.
Well, Frommer's travel guide said it perfectly. While you weren't watching, Richmond got cool. And we have never looked back. I mean, Kiplinger named us one of the best retirement communities last week. Yelp named us one of the top 10 2019 foodie destinations in the country. Yeah. The accolades continue to come on because now the world has discovered us, and it's just not nationally, it's internationally.
See, I was watching, and I was uncomfortable because I'm not cool, and I was like, oh no, I don't fit in anymore.
We're going to put Jack on the spot here with our Virginia Lottery trivia question. Do you know the first year that professional baseball was played here in Richmond?
Don't worry, we don't know either, so.
In Richmond?
In Richmond. It starts with an 18.
Oh, 18?
18, I believe.
1895.
He says 1895, and the answer is 1884. Oh. The Richmond Virginians joined the Eastern League, which has been through several incarnations since then. The 1-2 to Derek Hall.
Heck of a squad back in 1884, I remember.
Yeah, all those 17, 18, 19 inning games where one pitcher went the whole way.
They had a TV deal with CBS 6.
Derek Hall is the batter with 2 outs. And he takes outside, and it's 3-2. Jack, real quickly, can you put, is there any kind of price tag that Richmond Region Tourism can put on an event like this where everyone mentions Richmond, everyone mentions downtown Richmond, every time this entire week has been mentioned?
And that is priceless because this exposure, what you all do for us, the Dateline, just Richmond is the focus. You know, you had the Major League last night, you have us tonight, it's all over. And if you're a baseball junkie, this is where to be. And this has been just an exciting week, so thank you.
Do you sometimes look at Parney during the course of the season and just wonder how he keeps going, not just in weeks like this, but for all 71 of these nights out of the year?
Well, you know, they crossed the 4 million visitor this year.
Yeah.
He sold every one of those tickets. You know, his mission 10 years ago was a 10-year-old boy. He's blown the doors off. He has made the destination. We're very, very blessed to have him in our portfolio.
Chris Gittens flies to Jose Azucar in center, and that's going to end the inning. 1 man left. Jack, thank you very much for being with us. Congratulations on a fantastic week. It's still 4-0 at the end of 5.5. You're watching the Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Bottom of the 6th from the diamond on Arthur Ashe Boulevard in Richmond with the Eastern League All-Star Game. The West leading 4-0. The new pitcher in for the East from the Portland Sea Dogs, 23-year-old Gedgar Jimenez. 2-4 this year. 12 starts with a 3.98 ERA, 50 strikeouts, and just over 63 innings of work. And he pitches to Jason Heyward, high 1-0. Jacob Heyward, excuse me. I'm promoting him to his brother, 10-year Major League veteran. And he gets into one to left field. It's high, and it is into the ninth.
Yeah, Jacob Heyward looks up to the booth and says, Lane Casadante, I've got my own identity, and I can do this. He did it last night in the Home Run Derby. He does it in front of the home crowd. What a thrill it is for that young man as these fans come to their feet.
Jacob Heyward, one of the big bats for the Richmond Flying Squirrels, and he gets into one there, and that extends the West lead to 5-0.
Oh, we take another look at it here. Look at where that pitch is. Middle, and Heyward just tees off on it, as good professional hitters will do. And a couple of things, Lane, are surprising me. One, that this Western Division pitching staff has completely stymied the Eastern Division, and 2, that this Western Division lineup has really just been impressive, not just 1 through 9, obviously tonight, 1 through about 13.
Yes, they have. And we've seen just about all of our defensive replacements outside of pitchers that we're probably going to see tonight, so everyone should be in this for the rest of the duration. That was Kai Tom, by the way, who has taken over in right field for the West, who singled into right field, and he is now on at first for Isaac Azakar. Azakar fouls one off, and it's 0-1. Azakar had a single and has knocked in a run in this game. And the 0-1, and he lifts one into center field. And that one is run down by Braxton Lee from Binghamton. And now Kai Tom is going to get caught off of first base, and that is a double play.
Yeah, base running mistake. You can see why Tom made it, though, because off the bat, that looked like it was ticketed for the alley, but it hangs a little bit here in the alley in Richmond, and a phenomenal route as we go down to Sean Robertson with the man of the moment, Jacob Heyward. Sean.
Hey, guys, I'm here with Jacob Heyward, who hit that bomb just a couple of minutes ago. You told me it's hard to hit home runs here at the Diamond, but you didn't look like you was able to have any problem with that.
No, it's definitely tough, man. I hit it. I knew I hit it good, and I just started jogging because it's an all-star game. If you catch it, I'm not trying to be on second base. I don't care. But no, it was fun.
What was the pitch that you were able to hit?
Fastball, middle. So thank God. Thank God he threw a fastball. I wasn't trying to hit nothing else.
And you also did pretty good in the home run derby last night as well.
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was definitely fun. It was a great time to be out here with everybody and have my family here and watch me, so it was cool.
Thanks for the time. Continued success. Jacob Heyward hitting a bomb in his last half inning for the West All-Stars, who now lead 5-0.
And Isaac Paredes looks at strike 3, and that is a quick end to the 6th inning. It's 5-0 West as you watch the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth.
Top of the 7th. This was the bottom of the 6th. Jacob Heyward just told Sean I was looking for a fastball. He threw a fastball right into the quadrant that I was looking for it, and there it goes.
The new pitcher for the West is Bo Sulzer from the Altoona Curve, 10th round selection out of Dartmouth. And he pitches to Nash Knight, who grounds to second, and there is quickly one away. The man of the hour, the man who has brought this game here and done everything with the Flying Squirrels, the chief nut of the Flying Squirrels, Todd Parnell, is with Kristen Lors. Kristen?
Hey guys, this is the best part of the evening. We are joined with Parney in the party zone. I mean, the two just go together. We were just dancing to all of the in-game music and having the best time. He literally ran from one side of the ballpark to the other, ran up the stairs. This man is everywhere. We don't get much time with him. So let's see. Let's start off with, it's sold out.
Yeah, wonderful night. We've been planning for this for a couple years now. People are having a great time all over the place. So good to have you guys with us. Richmond, you're showing America minor league baseball a great night tonight, so thank you.
And you can use hashtag AllStarRVA. Why not? So moments ago, we just had Zakaria Grandy was here. She was the $5,000 recipient of the Legacy Fund Scholarship. Wow, incredible. She was very emotional, said she cried when she found out. Can you tell us a little bit about the scholarship?
Well, I was on the phone call, and I could tell she cried. It was wonderful. When we planned these 4 days, we knew it was going to be 4 days of great events in Richmond, and Richmond will get all kinds of promotions out of it. But we wanted to make it more than that for certain people. We wanted to affect people's lives in a positive way. So we were working with Feed More, working with United Way and Flying Squirrels Charities. And then the scholarship fund was specifically because we wanted to help someone go to college. So we'll do this in perpetuity. It'll be a rolling scholarship. So she'll get $5,000 for 4 years.
It was such an emotional journey for not just her, but her family. I mean, you're treating the family, so that is just spectacular. Always doing good work and bringing baseball into Richmond. I know that that's something that's been on the map and something that you absolutely love. So what has this entire week been like? I know you haven't got much sleep.
No, sleep is not. And Tanya, I will be home at some point tonight. I haven't been home much at all, but it's just been a chance for us to make history in Richmond. This is the first All-Star game since 1992. So there'll be thousands of people going, hey, remember when the Squirrels had the All-Star game? So that's been a great thing and making an impact on people's lives through the Legacy Fund and especially the Scholarship Fund. It's been amazing.
It has been a week of just nonstop. So much fun. So many good things are coming out of this. It is a full house tonight. It's been packed. We mentioned that it was sold out. We're doing the scholarship fund. What else are you getting out of tonight? I saw that the mayor was here. We just had Mickey James. You have Big and Rich. I mean, this is first class all the way. How did you pull this off?
Well, our ownership group is so supportive of what we do, and as soon as we heard there was a chance we were going to get this, we went to work. So many people in our front office had so much to do with this. General Manager Ben Rothrock, Hannah DeFrank is an absolute superstar. She was the event coordinator, and just everybody on the staff were totally committed to making this something people never forget. And I want to publicly thank everybody on our staff for such a great job. I love you guys. You're part of my family.
A job well done, absolutely. So joined by the best, Parney, having the best time out here, guys.
And this song's my jam, too. I like
This is jam. I'm telling you, in the party zone, there's no telling what can happen. We got a full house tonight, and we're having so much fun. Parney, thank you for your time. I know that you're a busy man, and you have places to go and people to see, so we're going to let you go. But thank you again. Guys, back to you.
All right, Kristen, thanks very much. We have a new pitcher in for the West Division as Bo Sulzer got 2 quick groundouts to second base, and he has now been replaced by Kyle Nelson from the Akron Rubber Ducks. 15th round selection out of Cal State Berkeley. No, that's not right. Cal Santa Barbara, I believe. Promoted to Double-A just back in May. And Baseball America rates him as having the best slider in the Indians system. And they also think he has a chance to be their best left-handed reliever in the Indians.
Yeah, that's saying something because that's an organization that values the slider. We saw what that staff can do in the postseason over the last few years. So to add to it, not surprising, you get organizations that value a certain type of pitcher, and the Indians are definitely that prototypical organization, whereas the Giants for years have been more of a sinker type of pitcher, and you see that in their prospects. But I want to go back to Parney because you could tell that he had been moving about the ballpark. Excellent job out there, Kristen, as well with Parney. I haven't seen him dancing like that since my wedding. You know, he's a groomsman at my wedding. He's pretty fired up. But when he said to the staff there at the end, "You're a part of my family," I know what he means by that, and that's an awesome thing to be a part of. I've been a part of it now, I think, for 14, 15 years, unless I get kicked out tonight.
No chance of that. Nelson pitches to Braxton Lee with 2 outs here in the top of the 7th, and he takes a strike on the outside corner, and it's 0-1. And that just misses the outside corner. There's that slider that Baseball America was talking about that the Indians are very high on, especially coming from a left-handed pitcher. 1-1 now to Braxton Lee, and he misses again on the outside, and it's 2-1.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful thing to have that devastating secondary pitch. But the reason that you see him here at the Double-A level and not yet at the Major League level, I say yet because I do believe that he will get there, is you've got to pitch to that secondary pitch. And that means that you have to have the command of the fastball, which you see him working to get to that slider. And that's coming, and that's exciting within the Indians organization.
The 2-2 is fouled off down the third base line. We'll reset and do it all over again. Braxton Lee 0 for 1 tonight. He's walked and struck out. As this West Division pitching staff has really done a number on this East, they have allowed only 2 hits through 6 2/3 so far. And the 2-2 is low, and the count is full 3-2.
By the way, it was a funny moment there while Kristen was talking to Parney. We saw Glenn Dishman, the pitching coach for the Squirrels and for the Western Division, come out and kind of say to Bo Sulzer, "You're doing it too fast. That's why I'm out here. I'm out here literally just to kill time because we were going to get him up for the last out of the inning, but you got those 2 ground balls on like 3 pitches. So I'm just out here. You want to talk about candlesticks or imagine the Bull Durham scene?" And then he went back to the dugout, and Sulzer kind of awkwardly walked around the mound, and then Willie Harris came sprinting out to get him. So, you know, that's kind of the lighthearted nature that you get in the All-Star that just makes it a lot of fun.
The 3-2 pitch to Lee, and he slaps it foul again, stays alive.
The only thing you did wrong was doing it too quickly,
yes,
which is not something that you will ever hear as a pitcher in a non-All-Star environment.
No, and working fast, as we know, helps keep your defense alert and in tune and really, really active. And they love it when a pitcher works fast. The 3-2. Swing and a miss. 92 miles an hour right down the middle. And that is a quick 1-2-3 inning for the West. We have reached the 7th inning stretch. It's still 5-0 West at the Eastern League All-Star Game, and we are now going to be joined by Sergeant Faith Flippo from the Richmond Police Department with tonight's rendition of God Bless America. Department with tonight's rendition of God Bless America. We'll be back with the bottom of the 7th at the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Bottom of the 7th here at the Eastern League All-Star Game. The West still leading 5-0. The new pitcher for the East, 26-year-old Heath Holder from the Hartford Yard Goats, 4-2 this year, 2.08 ERA, 4 starts, a couple of saves, 60 strikeouts in 52 innings of work this year, Lays. And he pitches to Connor Maribelle, who grounds to first, and he's got to go over and make the play. Tep dances over first base. 1 pitch, 1 out.
That was a heck of a play there from Derek Hall at first base, who hasn't been at first base the majority of this night. And for the big-bodied Holder to get over there and do that dancer's pirouette on the bag, it's pretty impressive. That's a little PFP coming to life. And Holder, you're right. You know, he was a guy, and you see this. You see the athleticism on this play right here, and you say, you know, he looks like a position player. Well, he was. He was a two-way player in college for 3 years. Wasn't hitting where he would like to be, and they said, you know what, why don't we focus on pitching? And he's done pretty well at that.
So far, that will bring up Ryler Bannon, who came into the game at second base for Jalen Miller earlier in the game. He struck out in his first appearance, and he is ahead 1-0. And that pitch will not get the outside corner, and it's 2-0.
Now, Holder's a guy that doesn't have a lot of traffic, doesn't give up a lot of hits. He's only given up 37 hits on the year in 52 innings. That's elite. And his whip is just over 1.04.
And there's a fly ball deep to left field, but that is hooking foul, and it is going to end up just being a long strike.
Yeah, loud strike, we call that. But essentially, if your whip is under 1, you're out of this world. If you're right at 1 or over, particularly as a starter, which Holder hasn't been, you know, that's the top level of the game. It means you're pitching without a lot of stress.
If your strikeout to inning ratio is over 1, that's elite as well.
Correct.
The 2-1 is in there on the corner for a strike, and it's 2-2.
And he's also got an elite beard.
You know,
he's got it all going.
That's part of the sport. It's part of every sport nowadays, not just playoff hockey players anymore. The 2-2, Bannon thought about it and let it go by, and it's 3-2.
But what's fun for a guy like Holder is you watch the development of a guy like Heath Holder, and you see him going through the system kind of meticulously, you know, level by level, half a level by level. He's at the age right now where he needs to have the season that he's having. So when a guy, and these guys know this, coming into the year, here I am, I'm 24, I'm 25, I'm 26. I got to go if I'm going to be in the plans. And it's not a number. It's not I need an ERA of this, or I need average against of this. It's just to have that command, to have that confidence, and he's having that year when he needs it.
Manning's going to slap one into left center field. That's a base hit. And he makes it all the way to second as he stretches it into a double, catching the East defense napping. And Bannon winds up on second base. I don't believe I'm going to have to go back through this. I'm not quite sure the West has had a 1-2-3 inning yet in this game.
Yeah, they have not. In fact, the minimum that they've sent as we look at the base running right here of Bannon. We heard from Jacob Heyward with Sean earlier. I had no designs of getting to second base. Bannon has the opposite approach because once that ball hit the turf, he was thinking two. Needed a throw off line to get there, but you love that aggressiveness. See the tongue wagging from Rylan Bannon at the end of that. Not only in an all-star game, but with a 5-0 lead in the 7th inning.
That's going to bring up Jonah Arenado. You mentioned Jacob Heyward with an older brother in the bigs, as does Jonah Arenado, the younger brother of Rockies all-star Nolan Arenado. And he takes a curveball inside, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that's like. These guys are under so much pressure, and both brothers have phenomenal relationships with their older brothers. Jonah talks about being able to travel with, or having the opportunity to have traveled in the California League with Nolan while he was at A-ball and got to learn what it was like to be a minor leaguer. And Jason and Jacob lived together in the offseason and trained together. So it's a phenomenal relationship between the two, but there's just so much pressure. I mean, how many times have we mentioned it tonight? And that's what they get mentioned. And both of those guys are at times all-star, MVP in Arenado's case, level players.
And Arenado swings through a fastball and strikes out for the second out of the inning. Time now for our third Virginia Lottery trivia question of the night. How many Flying Squirrels have made it to the major leagues?
Well, had you asked me that back in 2015, I would have known the answer because I used to design the Road to the Show plaques here at the Diamond. But I'm going to be honest with you, Squirrel fans, I've lost count over the last few years.
Well, and I will tell you this. I had a guess, and I was completely wrong. Way off. I couldn't have been more off if I had said 0, which is not the answer.
Well, you need a couple more qualifiers, too, because you have some guys that had been in the big leagues previously, like an Andy Cisco in the first year, and then they come at the AA level and maybe get back to the major leagues. Connor Gillespie was in that category. Now we're starting to see some mid-inning pitching changes, and this is for the fact that there are more pitchers on these rosters than there are innings. You've got 11 pitchers and 9 innings, so you're going to see Uceda come in, Adonis Uceda, the Binghamton right-hander who's having a superb year as you look at his numbers there, a sub-2 ERA. And I like the way that both managers have approached this game. Not that it's surprising that Mike Mordecai and Willie Harris would, but they've both done it completely to the book thus far tonight.
3-3 this year for Uceda with a 1.91 ERA. Most of his work has come in relief. He's had one start. But again, another guy with a fantastic strikeout to innings pitch ratio. He has 36 strikeouts in just over 37 innings pitched this year. So that means he's being efficient when he's getting the chance to get out there.
Well, and everybody's noticed that the game has changed. At the top level, it's changed. It's a feast or famine league right now, the major leagues, that is, in terms of strikeout numbers being up and home run numbers being up, and that trickles down into the minor leagues. Take another look at the double from Bannon right here, and that's the inherited runner that Uceda will deal with. But right here, that was played pretty well out in left center. I think there was a little bit of surprise, actually, from Braxton Lee that he was headed to second base there, and probably rightfully so because he's thinking it's an all-star game, whatever.
Yeah. How do you judge how seriously everybody's going to take something like this? So I don't think you can fault the fielder for allowing the extra base in a situation like that, nor do you fault Bannon for taking care of an opportunity and trying to show what he can do, which is stretch a single into a double, especially in an expansive park like this when he puts one out in left center. That's going to bring up Zack Houchins, the West first baseman, and he swings through a fastball from Uceda, and it's 0-1. Houchins so far tonight is 0 for 2.
Yeah, and if you're Rylan Bannon, he is a prospect. He's amongst the top 30 in the Baltimore system. Not that that's the end-all be-all, but unless you're a guy, you're the guy, you've got to hustle your way up the ranks. And no fault at all. Braxton Lee would say the same thing out in center field. It's on me. And everybody would understand.
The 0-1 pitch to Houchins is fouled off the first base side. And Derek Hall reaches back and he makes the catch and gets the out to end the inning. Fantastic play over there right next to the stands on the first base side. No runs, a hit, no errors, 1 man left. We are through 7 innings here at the Diamond tonight. The West still holds a 5-0 lead over the East at the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Welcome back to Richmond in the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game. Watch this play by Derek Hall down the first baseline on that last play. Reaching into the crowd and brings it right back. And that's last night's home run derby champ, too.
Yeah, he's doing it all in Richmond thus far here in All-Star Weekend. He had the presence of mind to realize he robbed a souvenir from a fan, so he stopped right there. We saw at the end of that replay and turned around and gave the ball to the fan that he took it away from. So making some fans here in Richmond despite not being a Flying Squirrel.
Into pitch for the West now from the Harrisburg Senators, Aaron Barrett. 90 appearances with the Nats. 6-3, 3.47 ERA. Tommy John surgery back in 2015 and a broken arm in 2016. And he gets Espinel to ground to third. Arenado with the long fly over, and there's one away.
Yeah, Barrett's an incredible story, and I'm hoping that it continues to look like it is at the moment, that it's going to have a happy conclusion, because Barrett was a guy that I remember from my stint in the Eastern League. He blew through the Eastern League with the Harrisburg Senators on his way to Washington. You know, just an electrifying arm out of the Senators bullpen. Went up, had so much success, helped the Nats to the postseason, and then suffered that elbow injury, had Tommy John, and as he was recovering from Tommy John, which is difficult enough, he fractured his elbow. And the Nationals, being the organization that they are, stuck with him through that process because, one, he's so talented and so valuable, but two, because he's just such a tremendous guy. They said every level that we put him at in the rehab process, he became like a second pitching coach. I was chatting with him a little bit last night. He was talking up the hitters on the Western Division roster and coaching them up. And, you know, like you say, it's been 4 years since he pitched in the big leagues, but this year has really shown the evidence that that might not be the end of the big league story for Aaron Barrett, and that's pretty cool.
Patrick Mazenka flies out to left, and there are 2 quick outs here for Barrett.
Look at him smiling, and that's what people say, you know, oh, what would a guy like that who's pitched up at Nats Park and in the playoffs, what's he going to think about pitching in the All-Star game? That tells it the story right there. You know, the enthusiasm for these guys working with him. He's quite a bit older than most of these guys, and just laughing right there with manager Willie Harris. And a good ovation. And that's awesome, man. You can't help but root for a guy like that.
No, especially considering everything that he's been through. That was probably a shorter outing than he would have liked, but if he's going to be that efficient, he's going to take it.
I think he's good. You know,
yeah,
look, I'm in my 30s. I'm fine. What did I throw? 5 pitches? I'm out of here.
He's all good with that. He had not many guys had a chance to have relatives or family come to the game here in Richmond. He does. His wife, his little girl, is down there here in the front row, right behind home plate. So he's got his own little cheering section down there.
Yeah, and see these young guys, they gravitate to him, and they love seeing that because, you know, you remember the scene in Bull Durham where Crash Davis is telling the bus full of guys that hadn't been to the big leagues what it's like. You know, all the batting practice balls are white. Aaron Barrett's been there. You know, he can talk about it. So he is a source that has knowledge, and these guys respect that, including the guy that takes over here on the mound. He's a Flying Squirrel, is here, but nonetheless, they've gotten to know each other over the last few days.
One of the latest additions to the Western roster is coming into pitch right now from the Flying Squirrels, Tyler Sear. This is his second Eastern League All-Star selection. He joked at the end of last week when he found out he had made the team. He wondered what's the record for being named an Eastern League All-Star. He hopes he doesn't.
Call Daryl Madej.
He hopes he doesn't set that record. But at the same time, it's nice to be recognized for what you've done so far this year. And obviously, he told us last week in preparing for this game, the objective is to get up to the majors and do it. No record yet this year, an ERA under 3, and he's pitched pretty well for Richmond so far.
Yeah, he has. And he's a guy, I mentioned Daryl Madej, who was one of the big fan favorites here. He made multiple All-Star appearances. Tyler Sear's that type of guy as well. And earlier, Joe McCatherine was saying, you know, the organization has to match the culture of the community. And the guys, when they get here, may not understand or never have been to Richmond or even this side of the country. But they're a big part of that. They become a big part of it. Saw it with Mark Minikazi last night. We welcome back here. He lives in Arizona now. Just so cool to see it. And these guys appreciate that. And that's why this community continues to show up and support like they did tonight, selling it out the Diamond at a crowd of 9,560.
A sellout tonight, 95-60. And it's just part of what this organization has been able to do in this city, bring people out for an event like this, and it has become an event much more than just a baseball game. Sears' first pitch is inside, and it's 0-1. And this is Grady Kumana, who has come in to play right field for the East, and he grounded out to short his first time up. Sears' 1-0 pitch is high, and it's 2-0.
We mentioned Sear joking about, did I set an Eastern League record? The Squirrels, some fans may remember, he had a former big leaguer here. I believe it was 12, may have been 13, Joe Kashansky, who was a big leaguer with the Rockies. And the Squirrels that year played an 18-inning game up in Bowie, scoreless game. And Kashansky in the game went 0 for 9, struck out 7 times, but he was always good-humored about it. And we get on the bus, and he said, hey, Lays, he goes, did I set a record? And I go, for the Eastern League? And he said, no, for the history of baseball. And I said, I'll have to do some research into those 1884 Richmond Virginias, but I don't think so.
Sear finds the inside corner with a 3-0 pitch, and it's 3-1. And his 3-2 is waved at and missed by Kumana, and it's 3-2. Nobody on, top of the 8th. 2 out. Sear trying to get out of this inning for the West. The 3-2 is fouled off behind home plate, and we'll do it again. I was told a story earlier this week about one of the best pranks anyone's ever seen. It was pulled off by Mike Mordecai when he was a member of the R Braves. We'll try to get to that in the bottom of the inning. That's what we call a tease.
I like that. Cliffhanger.
The 3-2 pitch is outside, ball 4.
Now you can get to it now.
Kumana walks. First, we're going to get to our third trivia question answer of the night, presented by the Virginia Lottery. How many Flying Squirrels have made it to the majors? Just take a guess. Give me a number.
I think I'm going to say it's probably almost up to 40 at this point.
Keep going. 63 former Squirrels have played in the major leagues.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible because I remember the first wave. You remember that 2010 Richmond team. They had a manager, Andy Skeels. He compared it to the Great 8, which was probably overstating it a bit. But you did have a number of those guys that made it. You know, you're looking at the Brandon Crawfords, and eventually Brandon Belt came in. They're still mainstays in the Giants organization.
Panik.
Yeah, Joe Panik was here a couple of years later. Charlie Culberson, Nick Noonan, you know, those type of guys. Eric Surkamp, I still remember when he got the call. We were in our hotel in Akron at the time. They were the Arrows, now they're the Rubber Ducks. So, yeah, that's fun to see that it continues to funnel. And the Giants are an organization, they are rebuilding right now. And you're about to see that in full force, I think, coming up here on the trade deadline in a couple of weeks. So guys know that. Guys sense that. It's not the locked door that it was maybe a decade ago.
Sear is facing Colton Welker, and it's a 2-1 count on Welker. Welker came in earlier in the game for Bobby Dahlbeck at third base and grounded out to second in his first plate appearance.
And Welker's a guy a lot of people, including the scouts, excited to see. He's one of the bigger prospects in this game. Didn't see him last night in the home run derby.
The 2-1 pitch waved at and missed by Welker, and it's 2-2. Two pitch from Tyler Sear. And that's outside, way to the backstop. It's 3-2. Kumana will take second base easily. And this isn't something we've had much of a chance to say tonight, but the East has a runner in scoring position for a change.
Yeah, it has just been a phenomenal patch performance from the Western Division. I say patch just because of the volume of pitchers that they've used, but they've all been effective. You know, it really hasn't been anything in terms of an uprising for the East since the first, and that wasn't much of an uprising against Barger all the way back then.
3-2 pitch from Sear. It's high. Did he go? The check down to first. He did not go, and it is ball 4. And there are now runners at first and second.
Yeah, Tyler Sear, he's probably frustrated with himself. One, because this is an all-star game at his own ballpark, and clearly he wants to show his wares. But two, he recognizes that his team has a 5-0 lead here in the 8th, and the last thing you want to be doing is giving opportunities by not throwing strikes.
That brings up first baseman Derek Hall. Started the game as the DH. He's 0 for 2 tonight with a walk. And as we mentioned before, last night's home run derby champ.
He had fun with that, man. He was in it to win it. You know, I was watching the MLB All-Star Home Run Derby a couple of nights back, and those guys were getting after it. And these guys were as well last night.
97 on that last fastball from Sear, but it was high, and it's 1-0. 1-0 pitch waved at and missed by Hall, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, Hall trying to make this a 2-run game right there. May have done Sear a favor.
He probably swung at ball 2 right there. Two on, two out. The 1-1 pitch is low and inside, and it's 2-1. Here's some of last night's performance by Derek Hall in the home run derby. That was the gold ball, the last one that he needed to win the whole thing, and he deposited it in right center field, and that's a poke when you're hitting from the left-hand side of the plate. Sear gets him to pop up to short left field. Hayward coming on, and he makes the catch to end the threat and end the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, 2 men left. We have gone through 7.5, the middle of the 8th. It's 5-0 West. You're watching the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Eastern League All-Star Game, the new pitcher on for the East roster is 25-year-old Trevor Lane from the Trenton Thunder. 3-1 this year, 41 innings, all in relief, a 1.54 ERA. 42 walks and only 17 strikeouts as he misses just about everything with his first pitch, and it's 1-0. 10th round draft pick by the Yankees in 2016 out of Illinois, Chicago.
I wonder if he knows Sister Jean.
Everybody knows Sister Jean.
I meant personally.
Everybody knows Sister Jean personally. And DeLay swings through a breaking pitch, and the count is even at 1-1. DeLay came in earlier in the game for Trey Barbera and is 0 for 1 thus far.
I was really confident the Ramblers were going to ramble last year. Parney and I were as well, and it didn't work out. It was during my bachelor party.
Again, back to the wedding and the bachelor party. The 2-1 pitch is fouled off by DeLay, and the count is even at 2-2.
Yeah, what's interesting right now is for manager Mike Mordecai, I mentioned he's been doing this by the book. He's got 3 pitchers left, and that's because as the visiting team being down, they might be short an inning unless they put up 5 in the top of the 9th inning or more. So he might go out by out here in the bottom of the 8th. He's got somebody warming down in the bullpen at the moment. So I think at the minimum he's going to use 2
here right.
in the 8th.
And then you
maybe
have one more
3
if you need him in the 9th. Right.
Yeah.
DeLay fouls one off down the first base line, and the count is even at 2-2.
Because, you know, both of these managers are tremendous people, and they want to make sure they get these guys in.
DeLay flares one into right center field. It's going to drop in for a base hit. And once again, the West has a runner on.
Yeah, the West has been potent. There really haven't been any lulls in terms of pitchers being able to find themselves a breezy inning.
That's going to bring up Jacob Heyward, who homered in his last at-bat to give the West a 5-0 lead. I'm going to send it down to our Jake Burns, who is with Eastern Division manager and former Richmond Brave, Mike Mordecai. Jake?
Yeah, we're here with Mike Mordecai, the manager of the East here. And Mike, I just want to know, what was your strategy as a 12-year big leaguer and a 2-time World Series champion to get these guys in the game and make sure that they get to experience this game time here in Richmond?
Well, we only have 14 of them, so it made it a little bit easier. Tough part is we have 2 catchers, and we don't really have a bullpen catcher. Usually you have someone that does that during the season. So we've had to flip-flop our catchers, and then our starting catcher's got a headache. They took a foul ball off the mask, so he's not feeling too good. So we've been picked up by the other side. That's baseball. They helped us out. Got Zambrano down here. from the Western Division, so it's kind of saved us. But getting all the guys in the game, man, that's part of managing. Let them experience this. This is, hey, a lot of guys only make one All-Star team in a career, and you want to make it enjoyable for them. So that's what we're trying to do.
You're a former Richmond Brave, played here several seasons, 2.5 seasons, I think. What do you remember from your time as a player here in Richmond and now returning as a coach of these young men? I know you do it regularly during the season, but for this experience in particular.
Well, I came here in '92, and then in '93, '94, we won a championship here. It's odd, we beat Syracuse, which is a Blue Jays, affiliate at the time, and now I work with the Blue Jays affiliate. So those times here were special to me. I was learning how to play the game here at the at the minor league level, getting ready for the big leagues. I was fortunate enough to leave here and go to Atlanta and play in 2 World Series in my rookie and sophomore years, basically. So I owe a lot to this place. A lot of good people here. Bruce Baldwin was the general manager back here when I played. Grady Little is our manager. And, he went on to manage in the major leagues. I owe those guys a lot. But this experience here, it's probably the best place in the league for me. So coming back here brings back some old memories. I remember having a brawl here with Charlotte one night. I'll never will forget that. Ryan Klesko and Bill Wirtz started that. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it has been a lot of fun to come back these last 3 days.
I bet that group did have a lot of fun. Final question for me is this. As someone that's been in the bigs and been in those World Series, what is it that you try to tell your guys on the Fisher Cats about how they can take their self from a AA player, someone that has that dream, and then make it something that they really can do? They can get to the big leagues.
Well, if you ask me, in minor league baseball, they have all these prospect lists that come out. They'll have a guy that's a prospect that's 17, 18 years old. In my opinion, they're not really prospects unless they can get to this level. Once you get to AA, you start knocking on the door. Then AAA, you're getting a whole lot closer, obviously, to get that call to the major leagues. But the work that they put in and the desire to achieve their dream to play in the big leagues, that is something that you don't let anybody take away from you, all right? You drive yourself. I just talked to our guys the other day and told them, not only do you want to make it to the big leagues for yourself and probably your family, your mom and dad, there's got to be a little bit of something extra within you that drives you. And you all got to find out what that is and keep it going.
Well, hopefully you guys in this next half inning can find a little drive and get some runs on the board here. Mike Mordecai joined us. Thanks so much, Coach. And best of luck with the rest of your season. Back to you, Lane.
All right, thanks, Jake. Mike Mordecai, the celebrity winner of the Home Run Derby last night. Shows he still knows how to hit around here. Got one of those big, giant bats from Todd Parnell. Treasure that forever. Mordecai played a little more than 2.5 seasons here with the old Richmond Braves. And as he said, part of 3 big league rosters. And between he and Willie Harris, they have 3 World Series rings. So a lot of experience in each dugout. Addison Russ on to pitch for the East right now from the Reading Phillies. 24-year-old from Amarillo, Texas. As he pitches to Kai Tom, who fouls one off down the third base line, and that evens the count at 1-1.
Yeah, Mike Mordecai, Willie Harris can put those rings together, and they'll have as many as Parney has. Which I'm sure the big guy mentioned right there as he was presenting him the big bat.
I'm sure he did. Kai Tom, the hitter now, the right fielder for the Western Division. The count even at 1-1. And he flares one off again, and it's 1-2.
Addison Russ is an interesting case. You just heard Mike Mordecai talking about I have to have that little something extra, and Russ has. He has really exploded through the lower levels of the minors. He had an ERA of 1.68 across 2 levels of A-ball last year, and he's brought that to AA now in Reading in the Phillies organization. And he had an interesting assignment back in spring training when Bryce Harper signed, showed up a little bit late, as you see Russ getting the strikeout there for the second out here in the 8th inning. And they said, all right, Addison, we've got a new guy in camp, and we need you to throw a simulated game to him. So there he is pitching to Bryce Harper in a simulated game, and afterwards, Harper didn't tell him during, but he came out to him and said, hey, young man, I've noticed that you're tipping your split finger when you're going to throw, which is one of his strikeout pitches. And he said that advice has been invaluable. He said, I would say, I wish he would have told me that in the middle of it so I might have had a fighting chance.
It's all in the timing. That's going to bring up Jose Azocar with 2 outs. Azekar is 1 for 2 tonight, singled, hit into a double play, and has a sac fly for an RBI in this game. The runner on at first, and the pitch is outside from Russ, and it's 2-0.
It's kind of like the movie Rounders. You know, you just let him keep on chomping those Oreos all night long, I guess.
The 2-0 pitch from Russ to Azekar. Is right back up the box, snared at second, the throw to first, and that's going to end the inning. Fantastic play there by Santiago Espinel from the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. We are through 8 innings. It's still 5-0. The West leads the East at the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game, presented by Genworth. We head to the 9th here at the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game. The West holds a 5-0 lead over the East. Flying Squirrels righty Tyler Sear is back out for a second inning of an appearance, and he will face Chris Gittens, first baseman from the Trenton Thunder. Gittens 0-2 tonight. He has struck out, flied to center, and walked, as base runners have been hard to come by for the East Division tonight. Sear's first pitch is a bit high and outside. It's 1-0. Ball 2 outside, 2-0.
He's been a little bit off with his command, but he's got the stuff to pitch through it, and we saw that in the 8th inning.
Reached 96 with a pitch last inning. That one hits 95 on the corner, and it's 2-1 to Gittens.
Yeah, it's been interesting the way the bullpen has stacked up in Richmond the last few years. You remember when he was platooning in the closer's role with Ray Black back in 2017. Talk about some high wattage, and doing it again with the guy that we're expecting to see at some point here in the 9th, Melvin Adon, who'd been warming previously. But you talk about guys that can bring it at a high velocity and the trends within the game. Ooh.
Right down the middle, and he gets Gittens with an 84-mile-an-hour off-speed pitch. Good changeup.
That was nasty.
From Sear.
I mean, Gittens sees that coming in at the letters, and he's already patting himself on the back, thinking, hey, I laid off that high fastball. He's trying to raise my eye level, and the bottom just falls out of it. And here comes Willie Harris saying, nice job. That's exactly what we needed. We're going to get Melvin to try to close it out here.
And they are going to bring in Melvin Adon, who is the closer for the Flying Squirrels here in Richmond. And this is a guy that the San Francisco Giants like very, very much. Adon can top out at 102 miles an hour with his fastball, but more recently has developed a pretty good breaking pitch. He had nearly an immaculate inning in a save situation just before the All-Star break where he threw 10 pitches to get 3 outs. And I watched, I believe that was up in, it was either in Harrisburg or Reading. I don't think he threw more than 2 or 3 fastballs in that entire inning, relying exclusively on his breaking pitch to do it.
But you wonder, people always wonder, why is the immaculate inning so difficult to do? And the reason is because, one, you have to have swing and miss stuff. And I mean true swing and miss stuff. Your fastball has to be a swing and miss pitch. Your breaking ball, like you're talking about, Lane, has to be a swing and miss pitch. And then you have to command it. Not necessarily throw them all for strikes, but you have to throw them where you want to get chase and all of that stuff. So it's not surprising that a guy like Adon would flirt with that because he's that prototypical type arm. But I like the way Willie Harris has approached this. He's trying to put the exclamation mark on this. But I want to go back to that Sear changeup. We talk all the time about wipeout sliders, and those look great and guys look foolish. Sometimes when you're standing there, get jelly-like with a changeup, like Chris Gittens, an outstanding hitter just did. And that was nasty. I mean, that was I call that pitch the roller coaster. Just the bottom just dropped out of it. That was awesome.
Adon hit 102 in spring training this year, 102.1 to be precise. Only 4 fastballs were faster last year in all of the major leagues. One of them belonging to Aroldis Chapman, whom Adon reminds many people of Aroldis Chapman, and he has developed a breaking pitch to go along with that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. The number 23 overall prospect for the San Francisco Giants will try to close out this All-Star game for the West, and he will face Nash Knight, who has come into left field. Knight grounded out to second in his only plate appearance so far.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, Lane, in the telecast about pitchers that extend closer to the plate. Nobody does that better than Aroldis Chapman. So they always say, you know, he's releasing the ball about a foot in front of where most pitchers are. And you can see Adon is very similar to that as he hits triple digits with his first offering. 100, 00 is what that shows. I'm the one who ordered, by the way, that radar gun display back in 2010.
Never figured you'd need a third digit.
Melvin Adon.
Second pitch comes in at 101, and Knight fouls it off down the third baseline, and the count is even at 1-1. It's as official of a speed as we can get on the pitches, and it's still pretty impressive, even if it's off slightly.
Well, I'll tell you it's not, and here's why. We struggled, Steve Ruckman and I, former groundskeeper. He's working the All-Star game out of retirement. That was a nasty breaking ball.
There's that breaking pitch we talked about,
right
88-mile-an-hour curve.
Well, and see, now you're in Nash Knight, you're in a no-win situation. You know, what are you guessing here? If you're not sitting dead red fastball, you're not going to hit it, and if you are guessing, you know, see, he's just cheating fastball and just trying to get it. So if Adon throws him a slider right here, I mean, he's going to miss it by 2 feet. But back to the radar gun, we struggled for years with where to position the radar gun, and it was off by a mile or two. It'd be hot, it'd be slow, you know, it just wasn't picking it up right. And you could see the box, little box about halfway up the pole right behind the backstop, or on the backstop there. It is perfectly situated. There's that slider, by the way, right to the back foot. I mean, it's one thing to have that movement lane. It's another thing to be able to throw it right there. And it's Nash Knight. You know, doesn't tip the batting cap, but you might as well, because there's not a lot you can do as a hitter there.
91 miles an hour on the slider, and Adon has his first strikeout of the night, and he will face Hoy Park, the shortstop from the Trenton Thunder, who is the East's last shot at getting something going here in this game.
You know, you see a guy like Adon, and you might say, whoa, you know, he's throwing 101. He's got that wipeout slider. He throws for a strike. And what's he doing? Why is he in Double-A? Why isn't he in the big leagues? And they're just polishing him right now. You know, he's on the 40-man roster, and he's young.
Right.
I would be, I'm not going to say surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was a September call-up this year.
No, and a lot of people with the Giants wouldn't be either, but this is his first season in Double-A, too. So that's another reason why you haven't seen him in the big leagues, because this Double-A level is where they really see where all players, pitchers and hitters, whether or not they have the stuff capable of filling in for someone that's at the big league level.
You know, it's in a whole new front office, essentially, in San Francisco, and acclimating 102. He hits on that fastball. But right now, it's going to be interesting to see, because after the All-Star break, a lot of organizations will leave guys through the All-Star break, let them participate in All-Star games and all of that, and a lot of movement will occur in the minor leagues and in the Eastern League in the next week or so. It'll be interesting to see if it don't moves anywhere.
That 102-mile-an-hour fastball just missed. Park gets into one to second base, and that'll do it. So Melvin Adon comes in, closes out the final 2 outs, and the West has a tidy 5-0 victory in the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game. Adon getting the congratulations from his Flying Squirrel teammates and from his Western Division teammates as they take this year's edition of the Eastern League Midsummer Classic. And Lays, that was as close to a dominant pitching performance that you can get when you are stringing together so many guys. I want to count real quick and see how many guys they actually used pitching.
11.
1, 2, 3. They used all 11. Willie Harris got every one of his pitchers in there, and they all did the job. 2 hits, gave up 5 walks, but as we said, they never really had a threat on the bases at all tonight.
That's so difficult to do. It's such a testament to that group of 11 guys. And sometimes, yes, that's contagious. You know, relief pitchers always say one of the hardest things to do is to come into a runny game, as they would call it, where the guy before struggled and it's a long inning and there's not a lot of rhythm. Give Barger a lot of credit. At the outset of this game, he set the tone. He had a base runner or 2 back in the first inning, but got out of it very quickly, passed the baton, as it were. And then you saw some of the high wattage guys through the middle and at the end. But just the law of averages would indicate to you that you throw 11 guys, Johnny Holstaff, we call that, 1 or 2 of them isn't going to have their premium stuff. That wasn't the case tonight. And this is not a lineup of slouches. I came into tonight thinking, you know, if I'm stacking up the Eastern Division versus the Western Division, I'm probably taking the Eastern Division. I just think that there's maybe a little bit more on that roster But the Western Division pitchers said, we're not having any of that. I mean, they came after. I mentioned it with Barger back in the first inning, how he was aggressively pitching with his fastball, even to those frightening hitters in the middle of the Eastern Division lineup. And that, again, set the tone for this group. And you can't say enough about, one, how Willie Harris and Glenn Dishman decided to utilize them, the sequencing. There's something to that as well. You know, power to not as much velocity, right to left, and all of those great things. Turned into what is a rarity in All-Star games, which is a pitching masterpiece by 11 different guys. A two-hit shutout. I mean, that's phenomenal on any night of the year, but in an All-Star game, that's almost unheard of.
Adone's final pitch unofficially at 101 miles an hour to Hoy Park, who managed to get wood on it, but he grounded out to second base. So the West Division comes away with the victory tonight, 5-0 over the East. We'll be back with the post-game festivities here from the Diamond in Richmond. You're watching the Eastern League All-Star Game presented by Genworth. Back here at the Diamond on Arthur Ashe Boulevard in Richmond, Virginia, where the West has come away with a 5-0 victory over the East in the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game. To crown this year's MVP, Lays and I think we know who it is, but we'll send it down to our Sean Robertson for the official announcement on the field. Sean?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to introduce the 2019 Eastern League All-Star MVP. With me on the field right now, the regional manager from Bush Brothers and Company, Lauren Schultze, and the president of the Eastern League, Joe McCatherine, who will say a few words.
Thank you. I'll keep this quick because we've all got some celebrating to do, but there's some real thank yous that we owe out there. First, to the players, manager Willie Harris, manager Mike Mordecai, thank you so much for making this a special experience for all the fans here. It was great, and you put on a super show. Secondly, to the Richmond community, on behalf of the Eastern League, thank you. Thank you for hosting us. Thank you for inviting us into your home. Thank you for inviting us into the city. And let me tell you what, we've never had a better time. This is the greatest ever. And one more thing, I'm going to ask you for one more thing. There's a few people here that I really want to spell out for. Lou DiBella, Chuck Domino, Todd Parnell, Ben Rothrock, and most of all, Hannah DeFrank. Join me in saying thank you, please.
Thank you, President. Now it's time to introduce the Bush Beans MVP of the 2019 Eastern League All-Star Game from the Richmond Flying Squirrels, outfielder Jacob Heyward. While we got you here, Jacob, congratulations on the honor. How does this feel to become the Eastern League All-Star MVP?
It's amazing. It's a blessing. All these players out here are really good players, and it's just an honor to be out here with them. And I just want to thank my family, my parents, my grandparents, my cousins are here. My cousins from California are here, so it's a great time, and I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Congratulations again. Jacob Heyward, the 2019 Eastern League MVP. Lane, I will have to dry off. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Sean, thanks very much. Jacob Heyward, he will say is, if you talk to anybody around here with the organization here in Richmond, the most polite, the most respectful, the nicest young man you'd want to have around here. And, oh, by the way, he can hit.
Yeah, he's the epitome of a professional, and obviously his family, including his older brother, has given him a great role model in terms of doing that. But he told our Sean Robertson earlier in the game, he said, I went up there looking for a fastball from Dedgar Jimenez, and thank goodness he threw me one. And clearly he was looking middle in terms of the quadrant. He got it. He blasted it. It's so much fun for him to have a moment like that, and it seemed fitting that for this Flying Squirrels organization, the MVP, and rightfully the MVP, there's no controversy about that. He had the best game of anybody I felt here tonight, was the MVP. But going back to what Joe McCatherine just said, the president of the Eastern League, truth be told, he's been a friend of mine for years. To have him say those things, he's not a guy that's full of hyperbole. When he says to Richmond, this was the best ever, this was the best week ever, he's not just saying that. I know for a fact that he means that. So tip of the cap to all the people that he mentioned, the top of the brass here in Richmond, but most importantly to the fans in the community. I think people in Richmond think that maybe this is where it is at all levels of minor league baseball, and I'm here to tell you, as someone who's traveled through the leagues, that's not the case. So kudos to you.
Yeah, there's the whole week they've been working on this for the better part of a year to try and pull off this entire week, and they've tried to do everything bigger and better than it's ever been done before. And this game tonight, really, they sold it out. The people were, just very embracing of the entire week. It takes a lot of people to pull off a fantastic event like this, like the Eastern League All-Star Week here in Richmond. We'd like to thank our broadcast sponsor tonight, which is the Virginia Lottery, and all that they've done to help us out with this tonight. Also, special thanks to these organizations that help make it possible: Genworth, Pepsi, Dominion Energy, Segra, Anthem, and Richmond Region Tourism. We also want to say a big thanks to the crew over at WCVE here in Richmond, Virginia, who are our broadcast partners putting this together tonight. And if you take a look at the crowd that's here, a lot of them have not left yet, because one thing the Squirrels are known for around here is one of the best fireworks displays. And they don't just do it once or twice a year on the 4th of July. They do it every single week, and their promise is to be a very big show here in Richmond in just a couple of minutes.
Well, one of the reasons why Richmond has remained so successful is that they continue to innovate. They continue to push the envelope. And you see that in the fireworks shows, because, they started out with the traditional fireworks shows. Parney would really want to double it up. We talked about shell count. How many shells are you going to shoot in a particular fireworks shows? Yes, these were conversations we had on staff retreats down in the Outer Banks. And then somewhere along the line, they started shooting fireworks from the center field, and they're called close prox fireworks. And they're a little bit louder because they're a little bit closer. They don't go as high. And somewhere, somebody, probably Parney, got the great opportunity. Well, wait a minute. We don't want to switch to that. We want to do both.
Both of them,
so that's where you get the dueling fireworks. You get the high, you get the low, you get the far, you get the close. And it's a spectacle, as is pretty much everything here at the Diamond. You can probably hear the countdown here to the fireworks starting. Parney doing that countdown himself as you see the first shells exploding here off the Sports Baggers turf.
We got some of the highlights from tonight's game as the fireworks go off here at the Diamond. Again, it was started by Kaleb Mariner, the Flying Squirrels right-hander, who was the starting pitcher for the West tonight. And he started everything off. As we said, the East did not get many opportunities. They had one in the first inning where they had runners at second and third, but Barger managed to get his way out of it with some nice defensive plays and a couple of strikeouts. Here's one getting Chris Gittins with runners on second and third, and that ended the first threat. Then in the bottom of the in the bottom of the second, the ball hit by Rhett Wiseman that went all the way, and it did not look like he had a good swing. It did not look like he had good balance, but it went all the way off the center field wall in straightaway center here, which is 407 feet.
Yeah, here's that swing. Look at how Wiseman is kind of lunging. It was a changeup that he had to go down and get. That's brute strength to hit it off the top of the center field wall like he did. But those sequence of highlights, Lane, that set the tone offensively for the Western Division. And back to Barger, he set the tone. You saw him aggressively pitching in the middle of the order with the fastball, putting the one we saw to Gittins. And you take another look at this ball off the bat of Wiseman. You see how high it hits on the top of the wall there. Again, without the anchor, the fulcrum to his swing. And it was really all Western Division from that point forward in this game, both on the hill and at the plate, although there were some highlights for the Eastern Division. Filthy wipeout stuff from Houck there.
Yeah, Houck had great stuff. A lot of the pitchers were throwing really, there's Alvarez with a strikeout.
Nasty split finger there. We really saw the array tonight.
And
we saw some defense
from
too.
Zokar out in center field to end another threat. Zack Houchins getting a base hit. Houchins tonight.
Here's the blast.
And there's the blast from Jacob Heyward, who now, you know what? He's got to tell his brother, okay, you got to top that. Because I've got an All-Star MVP award, and I hit a home run in an All-Star game. And that was a no-doubter as well. He did not get cheated. You saw him warming up. We saw him warming up in BP before the game, and he was hit. He got a few of them over that wall, so you knew he was probably feeling pretty well when he came up to bat tonight.
Well, you hope for a number of things, that the home team guys are going to play well, and all the Squirrels did. All the Squirrels pitchers pitched well. All the hitters had a moment or two where they impacted this game, either offensively or on the defensive side of the ball. You see Melvin Adone closing it down for Richmond and doing it in signature style with the triple-digit fastball, the nasty slider. You know, and we really got everything. Here's more of the fireworks to close down the show. And you go all the way back to Browns Island, then you go over to RIR, you get the community involved, you have concert, you have music, you have dancing. It's a lot. Barney used to call it the 10 pounds into a 3-pound bag approach, and this might have been the 13 pounds into a 3-pound bag approach for All-Star Week. But it's just nice. I used to say this when they close out the radio broadcast here, Lane. It's nice sometimes when the script is stuck to and everybody leaves with a smile on their face, including the Eastern Division All-Stars, who I'm sure were shown a first-class time here while in Richmond, despite the fact that they don't get the W tonight.
Now, let me ask you this. If you're a member of that Western Division roster, you feel pretty good about yourselves coming into an event like this, winning, going back. The pitchers all pitched very well. The hitters did reasonably well. If you're on that East Division squad, how do you take a game like this where you were pretty much stymied by a cobbled together pitching staff? You couldn't really get anything going. You go back for the second half of the year. What's the focus there?
Well, there may have been a bat or two that they'd like to have back, or a pitch. There was a couple of hanging breaking balls that the West gave the East that they maybe missed on. But that's pretty much any game that you go through. I'm hard-pressed to look back through this game on either roster and pick out a guy that struggled. Yeah, a pitcher gave up a run or two, but a couple of those were because an opportunity was created defensively behind them, or it was a ball that found its way in that sparked something. None of the pitchers got roughed up in this game, or you weren't able to get through the inning that they were assigned by manager Mike Mordecai. So I don't think any of the players really leave feeling anything but positive about this experience as All-Stars. As I mentioned, in this league, what is natural is you're going to start to see some migration upward. Some of these guys will probably find out after this game that they're actually not going back to the city that they came here to represent. You see that pretty much every year at the All-Star Games. So all positive. I don't think anything came out of this week that would diminish the seasons that these guys are having.
And it's one of those situations where it is an honor to be an All-Star. They give up 3 days off, which are very precious in this sport because you go 6 months without a day off here and there. They gave up their time. They wanted to come here. They wanted to be recognized for their work, and it's an exhibition. They all competitive. They all want to win, but you know what? Everybody got through it healthy, and God bless. You have a good second half of the season.
Well, that's why it's so important also to have the events that surround the All-Star game, right, for these guys. They had to play today, and they didn't have the prototypical off day, but they were having a blast yesterday, and saw a lot of them last night. They were enjoying Richmond and having a good time. So, again, I think all of them certainly wouldn't have traded the opportunity.
Well, John, I appreciate you taking some time out from the. Good luck to the Hokies this fall, by the way. John's schedule with Virginia Tech is going to ramp up here in a couple of weeks because once you get into football, then it's basketball, then it's baseball down in Blacksburg. So it was great having you back here at the Diamond. Thank you for joining us for one final time.
A lot of fun, Lane. I enjoyed being with you. Good to be back with Craig and Mike and all the guys as well that were producing tonight. Thanks to that. They're great work. And always good to be a squirrel for life, as Barney says.
As the fireworks continue here at the Diamond, for John Laser, Jake Burns, Sean Robertson, Kristen Lors, and our entire production staff here at the Diamond tonight, I'm Lane Casadante. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, the West defeats the East 5-0 in the Eastern League All-Star Game. So long, everyone.
It took over Central Virginia. The Eastern League All-Star Game was presented by Genworth.
Give me a game underneath the lights. Give me the roar of the fans. Give me the sound of the big bat swinging. Give me a ring on my hand. Give me a game underneath the lights. Give me the roar of the fans. Give me the sound of the big bat swinging. This is the best in the land.
Thanks for watching the Eastern League All-Star Game, sponsored by the Virginia Lottery.